Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this committee meeting of the Appeal Committee, the Public Works Appeal Committee meeting to order on Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. I'd like to acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis, and that our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. So we have no minutes that we approved from previous meetings.
Yeah, we will need to approve the minutes from the February 12th.
Oh, and I wasn't here for that one. Okay, so
Move the option of the February 12th Appeals Committee.
12th meeting. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. I'm going to acknowledge that Councillor Edie and I are wearing pink today in honor of Anti-Bullying Day. So we're the pink pair. Okay. So try to be kind. Let's all be kind today. Every day.
You're around, right, Councillor Chambers?
Yeah. I got pink eye.
Okay, so the order we have is Scotia Street, McMillan Avenue, Parkview, and Markham. I have heard Parkview and I have heard Markham, so I will not be participating in those two appeals. So I guess we'll start with Scotia Street then.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the appellant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the appeal. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the appellant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it's your opportunity to speak, however, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be a part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is an appeal against the decision of the Director of Planning, Property and Development to approve a variance for 367 Scotia Street under file DAV 255077A/2024B. Members of the committee, please note additional communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'll turn it over to a member of the administration for a brief overview.
Okay, maybe just before we start, I wanted to introduce Brendan Harris, our clerk who's guiding us through the meeting, and our department, the public service. Welcome everyone who's watching online and folks in the gallery here. So got caught up in the pink movement there and missed that. Okay, department.
Okay.
Identify who you are and please proceed.
Oh, I'm Andrew Ziegler. I'm a Development Planning Officer of the City of Winnipeg. Good morning, councillors and Mr. Clerk. For this property, it is located on the east side of Scotia Street, abutting the Red River, and is between Belmont and Kilbride Avenues, in the mature neighborhood of Seven Oaks within the Lord Selkirk West Kildonan Community and Minarski Ward. 367 Scotia Street is 88.7 feet wide by over 276 feet deep and approximately 23,000 square feet in area. The proposal is to subdivide the property into two single-family residential lots. The property owners will maintain the existing dwelling on proposed Lot 2 and create a new residential building lot identified as Lot 1. A variance is required for a reduced lot width of 35 feet instead of 40 feet for Lot 1, as this lot does not abut a rear public lane. The development plans submitted with this application feature a new single-family dwelling with a single attached garage and demonstrate a high-quality design with a rear walkout basement overlooking the Red River. It is recommended that this subdivision be approved with conditions, as the subject site allows the opportunity to add a new dwelling to the neighborhood, thereby revitalizing the area and increasing housing choice while making better use of the existing infrastructure. That concludes my summary. However, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chambers.
Has this come before the committee before?
Yes, it has.
Because I remember sitting on a committee where 367 Scotia Street came up for subdivision.
Okay, well, Mr. Clerk, should he be sitting here listening to this or what's the deal?
This would be a separate application, so it would be perfectly fine too.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
It's been, Mr. Ziegler, it's been more than a year since.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. I do recall sitting on.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been more than a year, then the counselor can sit on it again? Is that,
As long as it's
It's a new application.
completely different, it's a new application essentially,
Got
it's a
it.
new file.
okay, Counselor Sharma?
Yes.
What are they creating? Three, in
Uh,
that particular new house, it's three dwellings?
No,
units?
it's just a single family dwelling with an accessory secondary suite, potentially.
Okay, so two dwellings within that. What do you mean potentially? That's what they're requesting?
Yeah, that's what they're requesting now, but I think it's still,
Okay, so it's three
Undecided.
floors? Three
yes,
floors and one unit would be floor one and
that's right. Yeah,
two,
yes.
and the second unit on three.
The second unit, I think, is on the main floor.
And it's on Scotia Street, it's right as the street curves.
Correct.
And then there's another street coming into it here. Yes.
Are we
Yeah.
allowed to ask of any concerns previously with the previous application, Mr. Clerk, or talk about anything in the previous application?
As long as it's relevant to the current application, that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so I have a couple questions.
I have,
Oh, sorry, Counselor Amy, go ahead.
of course, I'm overly familiar with the Seven Oaks neighborhood. Having been around it for well over 50 years. Along Scotia on the riverside, are there actually river lots that are like 35 or less that have driveways and homes on them?
Yes, there is. Within 400 feet, there is, I believe, 5 lots of similar size. They are approximately 33 feet in width, so slightly narrower.
So that'd be 400 feet south
To the north.
to the north.
Yes.
Are there any to the south?
No.
Well, there is,
They're a little wider.
there is one there, right? Like, not, there's the subject site, then there's a large lot, then
You're
south
right.
of that, there's a narrow one.
There's,
Yeah.
there's little, there, yeah,
And those are on the riverside.
that's correct.
So 276 feet deep. Okay. Well, I think that's all I need to know at this point. So they didn't need any variances for height or anything. I know there's a condition that the existing house has to be fire rated.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
They need to
And
meet
the
the building.
all new builds are already fire rated, right?
Yes,
You said there's a walkout on the back
that's correct. Onto the river.
from the lower level out back, yeah,
Yes,
which is probably still about 100,
right,
a lot of feet back there. That's a big property.
yes.
I think that's all I need to know at the moment. So it's just slightly north of Belmont though, right? So you come up a hill from Hartford, you're up a hill and kind of a circular, which I think you see.
Mhm.
That's it. And anyway, okay,
So they're
that's all I need to know from him.
they're adding to this house or?
No, they're maintaining the existing dwelling on the north side, and they're creating a building lot on the south side.
Okay, so I'm seeing trees. Are any trees going to be impacted?
There may, but I think the applicant intention is to try to save as many as possible.
Okay, and they'll have to create another driveway, correct?
That is correct.
And I'm challenged to see where that would go
Page
because,
17,
huh?
go to page 17 in the report.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at the street
Online.
itself.
The 33-foot lots have driveways. There is no back lane, it's the river. So if you look at houses further north that are 33 feet, they have driveways.
Okay, so, and I'm just looking at it now. So the new building is going to go to the north of the existing house? I thought it was-
No, it'll be on the south side of the
Okay.
existing dwelling.
And they're not needing a variance for the south side.
So what?
No other variances are
Oh, this is
required.
Scotia Street. Okay. So there is another driveway to the south of 365 Scotia where the proposed house is gonna go.
Yes, there is a driveway on the north side of the neighbor on the south
And there's
side.
enough room to put it in there?
Yes, there is.
What's the yard width is 35 feet?
Yes, they're proposing 35 feet for the lot width.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so, is there, I'm trying to get onto my spy computer here for the city here. Is there underlying lot line on this one?
No, there is not.
Okay, there's not, all right. And in relation to the flood protection, because it's on the riverbank, what's the deal there? Like, no problem?
There's no issues
There's no issues,
with the location of the with the new dwelling.
really?
270.
And so they can do a walkout basement and there's no issues?
That's correct.
Just for clarification, Scotia, there's a hill from Hartford that takes you up Pole. So this property is not in the flood zone, is it?
It's in flood.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I guess Scotia Street is the dike, right? So
Well, it's not a dike there.
no, oh, it's not a dike in that
It's
location.
a dike
Okay.
up to Hartford.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the flood fringe line will be behind the new dwelling.
It'll be behind what?
Be behind the new dwellings towards the river. Yes.
Okay, but just because I don't live on the river, but the street behind us lives on the river, they can't do walkouts. How come they can here?
Well, let me just ask you this question.
Okay, hold on, let him finish mine. How come they can do that here? How come they can do a walkout?
They will be meeting the elevation. The
Yeah,
required
It's
elevation. Yeah,
sloping, right? And all
Yes.
that in the back.
that's right.
Okay,
So you can
okay, Counselor Edie?
Well, just for clarification too, anything to do with along a river, when you're filing for your permits,
Yes.
you have to provide the geotechnical studies that are required along rivers everywhere in Winnipeg, right?
Correct. Yeah. We're in the
So I'm just looking at page 14 of 28, figure 7, 363 Scotia Street, south of subject property. Like it's a really tight fit in there. And then there are trees and shrubs that will likely be impacted.
Yeah, there may be some impact on the site.
I don't know where else. I don't know how you would build around those.
Yeah.
How many trees are in the back, that probably, 180 feet to the riverbank? How many trees and bushes are there?
Yeah, there was an arborist report submitted with this application as well. And I think their intention is to try to save as many trees as possible.
Right back down to the river.
Mhm.
Okay, any more questions of the public service for now? Nope, okay, so let's,
Yeah. So with respect to this area and for context, are there, okay. I'm just looking at Google Maps and I'm seeing the kind of density that is there. And not, no. The space between the homes along Scotia Street and inserting this one in there is, I mean, it's a tight fit. Very tight fit. I'm just trying to see if there's any other houses along there that are that tight.
Mhm.
Well, how far is the house to the south from their property line?
I believe it's approximately 12 feet. They do have a driveway in between their
Is
home
it a
and
3-footer, is it a 3-foot side yard for this property in question?
no, they'll be providing 4 feet.
4 feet. So it's 16 feet of open space.
Yes,
4 feet on either side.
that's correct.
I'm sorry.
Okay, any other questions?
Is it gonna be staggered back? So Scotia Street bends right at Belmont there.
Yes.
And then the homes seem to be a bit staggered as in terms of their setbacks. Will this be set back accordingly?
Yes, actually, they're providing, extra frontage, for extra setback. They'll be at approximately 70 feet. Probably mostly in line with the neighboring dwelling to the north on
Okay.
lot 2.
So they'll see a little bit of the house to the north from their front window, but not necessarily the house to the south.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, so Mr. Clerk, now what?
Okay, so we did not have our appellant register with us today. We also did not have anyone registered to speak in support of the appeal. Just looking to the gallery, is there anyone here who would like to speak in support of the appeal
For Scotia.
for Scotia? Seeing none, we can move on to those in opposition. I will call forward the applicant on file, John Winthrop. If you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
John Winthrop, I have a visual presentation here, but my understanding, nobody spoke or the appellant didn't show up here. Nobody's in opposition to us. So it's just myself and the landowners.
For speaking, yes, there were some submissions in support of the appeals, but no one registered to speak.
I'll maybe quickly go through a presentation then.
But if you all need to,
Well, because we've got people in support, we'll have to,
I've lived in this area for over 50
we'll
years. So
listen to,
If the committee feels it is necessary, I'll include you. So let me figure out your computer here. It's on this side. Okay, we'll see if this works. Sure, the screen. All right, cool. This works here. Okay, we're here for 367 Scotia Street. Item number one on the appeal agenda today. John Winthrop, professional planner, registered in Canada and the United States, and some other accreditations. We're here for one new house. The variances were approved. Other people appealed them. The next steps after this would be like a plan approval, lot grading, permitting, things like that. We started this October 3rd, 2024. We are now here at the appeal hearing 146 days later for this one new house. The house would be right there is a picture of the existing dwelling. The house would be to the south of the existing dwelling. 367 Scotia Street is in the Seven Oaks neighborhood, Mynarski Ward. On the east side between, I'd say, Belmont and Kilbride. Of course, those streets don't go to the river. One block east of Main Street on the west side of the Red River. R1M zoning around the whole neighborhood there. We're in an intensification target area under complete communities, the combined sewer district, the Newton district. We are inside area 1 of the mature PDO's overlay. We are inside the floodway fringe regulations that come out from the province of Manitoba attached to the City of Winnipeg Charter. It just means that we have to go provide an application to the City of Winnipeg for construction, and we have to meet any kind of flood proofing criteria. It doesn't ban or eliminate new housing or dwellings. It just needs, essentially, we have to go through, besides the waterways permitting process, there's an additional regulations to make sure that the house is flood proof and meeting the flood guidelines from that were laid out, essentially meeting the 1997 flood levels. Within 15-minute walk, there's a lot of amenities. The IGA is 13 minutes to the south, Governor Semple School, Edward Partridge School. Tot Lot is a 1 minute to the north. So a lot of parks, schools, grocery stores, amenities nearby. Very walkable for walk score, very bikeable. The transportation right now for transit, before it changes in 2025, is of course the 18 and 32 rolling down Main Street. We are 800 meters from the future D10 bus that will be going up and down nearby. The FX2, and the 31 bus will be on Main Street. They're about 400 meters away. And then where they meet with the D10 up on Jefferson, to the north, the name's escaping me, is 800 meters away. So within 800 meters from frequent transit. Multiple cycling routes. The front street has front driveways because of the river. So along the east side of the street, there are front driveways. On the west side of the street, there's not so much there serviced by rear back lane. Landscape boulevards, sidewalks, and the on-street parking is on the west side, not on our side, the east side. Directly across the street are three 35-foot wide lots. And today we're here for variances for a 35-foot wide lot. Directly to the west of us are three of them that are 35-foot wide lots. These houses that are 35 feet front Scotia Street, and again are 35-foot wide lots directly to the west of us, facing this property. To the north of us is a single detached dwelling, 2 stories, 2-story house on a 44-foot wide lot. To the south of us is a single detached story, 2 stories. It's on a 111-foot wide lot. So the lot ranges along Scotia Street go from 35 feet to above 111. Our lot is, of course, 88 feet wide, 300 feet deep, zoned R1. It's rectangular in shape. So it's 88 feet wide, 300 feet deep. So the lots along the river are 300 feet deep or less, depending on the kind of house location to the river. The existing house is in the northerly 53 feet. It's a 2-story house with a front driveway and attached garage. Again, because the access is from the front street, of course, not from the river. There's no trees on the boulevard in front of this new lot where we would be locating a new house with a new front driveway. There are no trees on the public boulevard, so we're not removing any public trees on the boulevard to get a new driveway in. We have several trees along the common property line. It's heavily, I'd say, forested. There's several trees, at least over a dozen along our common property line. Those trees are staying. Any tree along common property line, we're not removing. Those trees are deciduous trees. You can't even see the, my apologies to Councillor Eady, you can't even see the house next door because of the tree foliage.
I could see, just to be clear, I could see till I was 24 years old and walked by and rode my bike by and jogged by this property for years, right?
So there, the heavy tree line, the trees are even larger now, though I think you're only 30 years old now. Looking towards the river again is the common property line is heavily forested, heavily with a lot of vegetation. Though that vegetation is remaining on the property line, we're not removing it. We're not cutting it down. It stays. Any trees along common property lines are remaining. We are not removing any trees actually to construct the house. We're subdividing it to create 2 new lots. Lot 2 would be where the existing house is. Will be on a 53-foot wide lot, 15,000 square feet. Proposed lot 1 is 35 feet, but it's going to be 10,000 square foot wide lot. We're going to maintain the existing house and build a new house. The new house is going to be a 2-story house, 28 feet in height, 1 entrance facing, and of course we'll have a garage and a driveway. Again, we can't get access from the backs of the river. I believe that's the second variance we have here today is because we're in the TDO1, the wording in that says you essentially need to have a back lane while we're on the river. We're going to have 4-foot side yards, 160-foot east rear yard to the river, a 70-foot west front yard towards Scotia Street, and we're going to have a secondary suite in the basement of about 648 square feet. So we're going to have large front yards, large rear yards, and of course the standard 4-foot side yards.
Okay, secondary suites in the basement, you gotta walk out back, right?
Yes.
Perfect, okay.
So that's why we can put the secondary suite. We're going to have a walkout in the back. I'll get to that slide shortly. Variants are required to overcome the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw and the use of the private property. The variance is for a lot width 35 foot wide. Are there any other 35-foot wide lots on the riverside of Scotia? Yes, including several 395 to 405 Scotia Street that are just 8 doors down at the end of where Semple would meet Scotia Street. There are several 33-foot wide lots along the river next to a 60-foot wide lot and a PR1 zone land. Will the new house look identical to the existing house? No, we'll use a different roof line materials, windows and front entrance if we have to go through a plan approval process to make sure it looks different, but we want to make it look like it fits in with the other houses along the neighborhood. We just need the variance today for a 135-foot wide lot. We're exceeding any kind of lot area. The proposed lot 2 will be, like I said, over 15,502 feet. Proposed lot 1 will be in excess of 10,000 square feet. We think it fits the area. Again, there's 35-foot wide lots directly across the street. 8 doors to the north of us are several 35-foot wide lots along the riverside as well. We fit into the area of lots in there. Our lot, if anything, is actually currently in its size is abnormal. We're making more typical size lots along Scotia Street, either on the east side or the west side. That concludes my presentation. I'm open to any kind of questions.
Okay, great presentation, as always, really thorough. Councilor Beatty?
There's a condition as well to fire rate the south wall of the existing house. Is there a window on that side or a few windows on that side of the house?
Yeah, we completed drawings, and typically for all these applications, whether it's commercial, residential, if you're drawing in a new property line and you're going to build a new building, the city will right off the top want a drawing to show what is on the existing side of the house. And then essentially how close is the new house, because based on building spatial separation, not based on yards. So it's the space between the buildings, not the side yards. They took a look at it and told us, I do believe we might have to close up a window, but there are some openings, but any openings we will be required then to close them, bring that wall up to the building code in terms of fire protection, because ideally the owners, nobody wants a fire jumping across from one property to the next property and causing damage, and we want to be able to contain that fire. So the wall will have to be upgraded to meet building code. Because these are the owners of the property, they're going to do that before they can complete the new building on the new lot.
The owner's okay with the condition?
They're aware of it and they understand it, and they completed the drawing and provided the information, and that was one of the first things I said. Can't recall if I have any pictures in here of the existing house on the side wall. I don't think I did. Yeah, I do. There's 3 windows, kind of. It's almost like a bay and gable design, if you're familiar with that, facing towards the south. And there's 3 windows in the portion of the bay part that sticks out from the house. I can't recall if they have to be closed, but if they have to be, then they have to be, and to meet the building code before we can get the construction of a new house.
Okay. You mentioned a tot lot that's how close?
There's a tot lot. I went online, I Googled it and double checked that, and there's like a 1 minute to the south of tot lot, or to the north.
How many meters away?
How many meters? It was a 1 minute walk north.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge that. So
I do, because
there's the Kingsbury tot lot.
Yeah.
And Kingsbury goes so this house is closer to Belmont, and then you have Kilbride, Burn, and Kingsbury, and on Burren there's a little valley where a creek used to run through there, and that's on the opposite side of the back lane from that tot lot. That's not a tot lot at Burren.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I'm not understanding
Well, this was another one that was further to the north. So I looked at that one too, Bern. I had to go out there and take a look because on Google Earth, it says it's a tot lot. And then when I looked on, but then when you zoom in and you look at it, it looks like a house almost. I went out there and checked it out and I didn't think it was a tot lot. There's this other one further to the north I found. That's not the one I'm talking
Further to
about
the
here.
north on the riverside.
No, further to the north towards Main Street. I can't remember the
Oh,
exact.
to the
street.
west.
Yeah, to the northwest.
There's no tot lot on Kilbride.
Yeah.
There's no tot lot on Belmont. There's no tot lot on Burn. The only tot lot that's around there is Kingsbury. So not that it's not that far. It doesn't take long to get there. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I'm just saying, I think that's a misnomer. I don't know. There might be a CSO pipe right there at I forgot Semple. So Kilbride, Semple, Burn, Kingsbury. But at Semple, that's where the separated sewer happened, and there's a space on the riverside. It's not a tot lot. It is it's a CSO water and waste department piece of land. So
I'll check it out that one, but the one on Burn, I agree, is not on Google Earth or Google Maps.
no, it's not.
I don't know why it's
It
labeled as
floods.
a tot
It
lot.
floods every.
Yeah.
My sister used to live in the house that's up the hill from it. So, now one other question I had. So you couldn't remember a bus route? Is because you
No, I couldn't remember the street up north of
you have a 77.
18 and 32 go down Main Street, but the new ones are, I'm still learning the numbers, the FX2,
Yeah,
and then
there's
there's
one
gonna
that's
be a
still
31, and then I think it's called the D10. I'm still learning the new.
Anyone at Leela, where the 77 used to go, there's a replacement number, and that's to the north. Anyway, you're right. So I'm going to ask you this question. So you said 400 meters from a frequent transit stop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the FX2 is going to be right, according to the map, is a stop at Kilbride and Main Street.
So that means all these properties, even on the riverside, may have the right to 4 units, right?
Yes, that's my understanding. That's the framework that council approved last fall, and I believe there's going to be a public hearing on sometime
we're
this
having
year.
everything.
But that's
Yeah,
the council's framework that they approved in September on, I'll say, a policy direction.
Oh, and by the way, there is play area and play structure on the Governor Semple lot. So that's not far away either. So
It's a nice neighborhood. I've been out there several times. I don't do too many projects out in Minersky. I'm more recently, and I've been out to that area several times, taking the bus. I took the bus out there a couple of times to go out there and walk around the neighborhood. It's a very nice, lovely neighborhood.
Yeah, and the bus is really fast.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, no more questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's thorough, so I guess there's no questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Be back
Thank you very
again
much.
later.
All right, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, so also in opposition to the appeal, we have Trevor Rock. Trevor, I'll just get you to unmute and you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Hi, my name's Trevor Rock. I live at 367 Scotia Street. Thanks for coming out to hear this hearing today. I guess John covered most of what our concerns and stuff were today. He did a good job. As far as, like you said, the trees, the mature trees along the property line, we don't have to cut any down because they're where the house is going to be going. There's nothing there that would have to be taken out. I don't have very much to say other than that.
Hard time hearing, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, we have a hard time hearing. Maybe speak into your
Okay.
speaker a bit better.
If you have any questions for me, I can answer them. But other than that, John did a pretty good job on the presentation there, so. That's all I
And you're
can
the
really-
property right to the north, like it's your lot you're splitting?
Yeah, we own the house at 367 and that's our house there. We're gonna split that lot, put up a house for us so we can retire in there. and sell the other house, the one we're living in now, because it's fairly big.
Okay. All right. Have you had any feedback from neighbors at all?
The guy to the south of me, he appealed it last time. We tried this back in 2021. This time he didn't appeal at all or didn't show up for the meeting. I tried to talk to him. He just sort of ignored me. So I don't know.
Okay.
The other two other people across the street are good with it. The two houses there, the two houses north of me are good with it. You know, I did some consultations in the neighborhood, so people were aware of what was going on. It's been, you know, a 4-year process for this to happen.
Okay. All right. Does the committee members, anyone have any questions? No, we have no questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Also in opposition to the appeal, we have Nancy Rock.
Oh, Nancy, did you want to say something, Nancy?
Hi, yeah, I'll keep it pretty short. Like Trevor said, I know the trees were brought up. Any of the mature trees are right on the property line, or any that are slightly in are in the front yard space. The driveway is going towards the north side of what the proposed property is, in line with the garage. So none of the trees there would be affected. There's no mature trees at all where the house would be going. There's a few shrubs that, you know, old lilacs that might have to come down, but nothing that's mature trees at all. I know the space was kind of brought up as a concern. There would be the minimum of 8 feet between our existing home and the other one. The house to the south is over 12 feet away from the property line, so there'd be over 16 feet there. And if you look at the street view, I guess, of the houses to the north, you can see a lot of houses don't have the 4 feet of side yard on each house. There's houses that are a lot closer together. So it's not something that's not existing in the area at all. And the house itself, you know, I know when you hear about infill and people are concerned that someone's putting up a tall, skinny house that doesn't fit in the area. We did some measurements. Our existing house, the main part of the house that goes up to the 2.5 stories, is only 28 feet wide, and the proposed house would be 27 feet wide. And the house to the south is also a very similar size. So nothing that would look out of place for the size of the homes that are there. I don't know if you had any questions about that. That's about all that I had to say.
Questions? No, we're very clear on everything here, it seems. So good sign. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we've had no one else register in opposition to the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak for information on this appeal? Seeing none, we can now go to questions for the administration.
Pretty clear to me. I don't have any questions. Do we have any questions here? Councillor Eady, or you're pretty clear? We kind of asked questions at the beginning. Okay, we have no questions.
Clarification. And Madam Chairperson, I did point out an anomaly here, but there are tot lots and parks not far away, right? So, yeah, it's a short bike ride over to Kilbone Park from there. So I'm going to move the motion, Madam Chairperson.
All right.
I'm going to move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I move that in accordance with subsection 247(3) of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with with Plan Winnipeg and the applicable secondary plan
Okay,
does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenity use, and use, safety and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from property by a street or waterway, is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw to relieve the injurious effect the zoning bylaw has on the applicant's property is compatible with the area which the property be affected is situated.
okay,
Which means essentially I'm not supporting the appeal. My reasons are, I just want to say, nobody likes change. This is a very old part of the city. It's along the river, but the owners went through a number of issues and dealt with it. Was proposing a actual thinner lot. I think the original was around 34. The build sounds, and it will go to plan approval to the satisfaction of the director of property and development. And I just don't see a problem with adding another driveway. There are driveways on 35-foot lots along the river north of the zone. And I just, like, in the 97 flood, so they talk about floodwaters. In the 97 flood, none of the houses, once you get from Hartford up to Belmont, none of those properties, except for maybe, well, not even the first one, none of those properties had to dike, provide a sand dike or anything like that. It is beautiful, and I think the home fits within the neighborhood. So, and it is close to a lot of great things. And for those who don't like change, this is reasonable. When I look at this and you think, are they going to build 4 units maybe on another lot someday? I'm not seeing this as being so egregious to the neighborhood. So those are my supporting reasons, Madam Chairperson.
okay. Councillor Chambers, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just when it does go back to plan approval, that specific attention is paid to landscaping and placement of trees.
All right,
Actually, would have to amend it. Sorry. Okay. Anyway.
okay,
Yeah, but that would be.
No, you could bring the plan approval to community. Anyway, I think the director can handle it.
Wouldn't it go back? Wouldn't it go back to EKT?
Not EKT, it's Lord Sucker.
Or Lord
It's the one
Sucker,
in
sorry, yeah.
Councillor Sharma and I's area, so. It's going to the director, right, the plan?
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
which,
want that come to community committee? Yes,
well, then I'd have to amend it, right?
you want to.
No, I don't. No, I trust in our public service to do it right. There's all kinds of guidelines and stuff they worked on. We heard that the house that's going to be built won't be so dissimilar to what's around it. So
Well, so for the public record, then, if it is going back for director approval, then landscaping be a part of the discussions in terms of tree replacement, tree shrub replacement.
in the front yard.
Yeah. Okay.
okay, all right. That was the motion, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried.
I move
That's good.
that the appeal be denied and the decision of the director of planning, property and development be concurred in.
Favor? Carried.
I move that variance order DAV 255,077-2024 be confirmed.
Favor?
I
Carried.
move that the public hearing with respect to this appeal be concluded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Just to-
What?
We're gonna have to go through the script, that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is.
It's already moved.
Oh, okay.
Ross is on it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so his last motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried? All right, done.
Madam Chairperson, I have to go, really.
What?
Oh, sorry, sorry. I
Okay,
think
so
our
that's,
clerk has to say something.
Nope, not in this instance.
No, okay. I really need to.
okay, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break. All right, perfect. We're back at the Public Works Appeal hearings. We're going to now listen to appeal number 2 of variance at 838 McMillan Avenue.
Item 2 is an appeal against the decision of the City Center Community Committee to approve a variance for 838 McMillan Avenue under file DAV 220458A/2024D. Members of the committee, please note additional communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'll turn it over to the administration for a brief overview.
Okay, good morning, councilors. This is 838 McMillan today. So the subject property is located on the south side of McMillan Avenue in the Fort Rouge East Fort Garry ward. The site is 3,965 square feet in area and is currently occupied by a single family home. The site is located within an established neighborhood mature community under Complete Communities 2.0 and is zoned R1S, single family residential small. It is also located within an area covered by the Corydon Osborne area plan and is designated as medium density under the area plan. The applicant is proposing to rezone from R1S to an RMFS, which is residential multifamily small. The existing on-site building will be demolished and the proposed building is 3 stories in height with a main entrance to the residential units on the front facade. The applicant is proposing 4 parking stalls located at the rear, accessed from the back lane. The applicant did inform our division of their intention to keep the existing mature trees on the site per recommendation of the arborist report. And the development requires variances for lot area, side yard setbacks, lot area per dwelling, so density, main entrance requirements, as well as parking requirements. The public service supports these variances. The development meets several of the intents and policies outlined in our Winnipeg 2045, Complete Communities 2.0, and the Corydon Osborne area plan. The proposal provides increased residential density that will help the city achieve its intensification targets. A condition of approval was also recommended, which is that the recommendations of the arborist report be adhered to through demolition and construction. And on January 6th of this year, the City Center Community Committee concurred in the public services recommendation and approved the variance application. The approval was then appealed and is before the committee today. That's all for me.
So just to be clear, City Center Committee approved it?
Yes, they concurred in our
They
recommendation.
concurred in your recommendation. So this is an appeal on that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now, questions of the public service, Councillor Edie.
In this particular area in the Osborne, the secondary plan, has there been a lot of density built into in the immediate area already, or?
Yeah, there's a few examples that have happened recently, which I highlighted in my report. Let's just see here. I mean, obviously, there's a few larger apartment buildings which have been on the block for a long time. There's a few fourplexes and triplexes, one block to the east that were approved a couple of years ago. So that would probably be the closest example to something similar. Yeah.
Okay, so this is, and that's the kind of density that the secondary plan talks about, right?
Yeah, this is medium density. It is up to 3 stories, and this is maximizing that. So it certainly, you wouldn't want it to be much denser than this under what the plan recommends, but it does fit within the medium density description.
So the actual width of this proposed building is pretty much on par with the existing?
Correct, yeah. I believe site width is 33 feet and there's 5 feet and 4 feet of side yard. So I believe that would put the building at 24. I did actually go there because there was a couple letters with concerns about the side yards, and the existing side yards are 4 feet. So actually, in some instances, the side yard may actually end up being slightly larger than what's there now. So, yeah.
How much anticipated parking is deemed for this?
So there's 4 parking stalls, 4 units. So it's a 1-to-1 parking ratio.
Are they creating them at the back there?
Yes, yeah, they'd be accessed from the lane.
It's a paid back lane?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's paved.
And there'll be, with the 4 parking stalls, there'll be room for garbage and snow clearing, and snow clearing would be just to plow through the back lane, but there's no there is no storage in back lanes. But
right, yeah. And as far as the garbage, this isn't at the level of units where a larger bin would be required. So then they just have a storage area for the smaller bins right in front of the parking there.
Where are the air conditioner units? Or is it all central? Does each one would have their own, right?
Even on the side.
might be on the balcony?
Yes, it does look like they're going to be on the balcony. That might be a better question for the applicant, but I do see it labeled here on the site plan. There's potential that the basement one is located on the ground, but it is located on the rear, which would meet the design requirements. Yes, yeah. Not visible from the street.
So just so I understand, there's 2 doors in the front. How do they all get to their units?
Yeah, so there's main entrance in the front. I believe that provides access. Yeah, it is a foyer.
Oh,
It
it is.
provides
Got
access
it.
to all units. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And what are they proposing for the back pad to park the cars on?
Yeah, hard service parking. So I assume.
Surface. Okay. Hey, any more questions for the public service? If not, Mr. Clerk?
So we did not have the appellants registered to speak today. Some of them have submitted their comments in writing. We also did not have anyone registered to speak in support of the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone in the gallery that wants to speak in support of this appeal? Seeing none, we can go to those in opposition. We will start with the applicant, John Winthrop, if you'd like to come forward.
Aye.
Well, I'm happy to see a lot of residents who just appeal things. I'll do my presentation.
Right.
Just a second. Morning, John Winthrop. I'm here for 838 McMillan, number 2 item on the agenda today for the Appeals Committee. I'm John Winthrop, professional planner, registered in Canada and the United States, some other credentials there. We're here for 4 units, 4 parking stalls. I'm the applicant. We're at the public hearing. Sorry, that's the rezoning. We went through a process for the rezoning already that has actually, I think, gone to council, and it's been approved for rezoning to RFM medium small. We're here for the variances where the community committee approved it. Other people appealed it. We started this back in June or around day 247. We had these 4 units, 4 parking stalls moving. If we were to get this appeal here today, secured, the variances will move into construction. Of course, there's a plan approval and the rezoning application has to be completed, but that's gone up to council. We're here for 4 residential units within 800 meters of high frequency transit. 838 McMillan is in the McMillan neighborhood, Port Rouge, East Fort Garry Ward. It's 1 block north of Corden Avenue, 2 blocks south of Grosvenor, 4 doors east of Wentworth and McMillan. South of us is the commercial strip along Corden Avenue. Actually, that's where my acupuncturist is. So there's acupuncturist holistic 2-story commercial building directly to the south of us. Just slightly to the southwest of us is the Santa Lucia Pizza Restaurant on Corden. And so just to orientate yourself, if you're familiar with Corden, we're down by that area of Corden. We're in intensification target area, the Jesse Combined Sewer District. We are outside the PDO, the New Mature Communities Overlay District, because we're outside of it because we have the Corden PDO, because we're outside the malls and corridors of PDO that was recently approved by council. We're outside of that PDO. We're inside the Corden Osborne area planning bylaw, medium density residential area. We're inside the PDO 1 Corden Osborne for, again, a medium density residential area. Within 15-minute walking amenities, Calvin High School is to the north of us, 12 minutes to Grove Pub, 6 minutes to the north. Starbucks and Tim Hortons right at the corner of Stafford and Corden. You can find me in those meeting people. Is like a 4-minute walk to the west. Food Fair is 3 minutes to the east of us. Grant Avenue is 15-minute walk to the south of us. Highly walkable, rated 92, Walker's Paradise, great transit, very bikeable, a lot of amenities nearby. 2024, the transportation route before it switches over, the big switch in June. We have a lot of buses along Corden, Stafford, Grosvenor. And 2025 in June, we are going to have, this is one of the more, I'd say, transit-rich areas that I've looked at in all my applications so far. We're going to have several, the D19 down Corden, the D11 on Stafford, the D16 going down Grosvenor. So within 300 meters, we're going to have 3 of the D19 D buses, which are the direct routes. We're 950 meters from a stop on the FX3 along Grant. So these blocks along Corden, I think in Stafford are, again, very transit-rich area with the 3 kind of D buses that are direct route buses that provide a lot of transit options for people. I can't find anywhere else in Winnipeg that's transit-rich, actually. Multiple cycling routes nearby. Multiple car shares are within walking distance. There's one at 842 McMillan and one at 847 Corden. So our neighbor has a car share. I don't know how they have that or the arrangements they made. So we have we're within the flow zone for Peg City Car Co-op, and we have 2 fixed car co-op locations within meters of this location already. McMillan has no front driveways, concrete sidewalks, a P3 street, 66 feet wide, on-street parking along the north side. The public lane is shared with the commercial businesses fronting Corden. Concrete, we have garages, gravel, 20 feet wide. It connects Wentworth to Lilac. As I mentioned, C2 is directly to the south of us, R1 to the east and north and west. R2 is on the block though, and we changed our zoning to multifamily small. To the north of a single detached dwelling fronting McMillan. Just to the northwest of us is a 4-story building, the Lucerne. It has R2 zoning. To the west of us is 840 McMillan, single detached story, 2 stories fronting McMillan. It has a detached garage in the rear yard that accommodates most of the rear yard and acts as a buffer against our parking stalls. The commercial is a 2-story building fronting, as I mentioned, a strip mall fronting Corden. It has parking off the back lane, directly accessed from the back lane. To the east of us is 836 McMillan, again, a 2-story building fronting McMillan. They have a detached garage in the back as well. Our lands are in the Corden Osborne plan, zoned R1, the PDO corridor, Corden Osborne district. It's 3,965 square feet, 33 feet by 120 interior. It's rectangle. Our front yard alignment came in at 31 feet. Again, we're in the Corden Osborne area, secondary plan, medium density residential area. Currently, it's a 2.5-story building, as you heard, with a 4-foot side yard. We have one tree in the southwest corner of the lot in the front yard. It's a coniferous tree, fairly mature. That tree's remaining. We made that decision to keep that tree, and we provide an arbitrage report on it. There's a garage in the back, a detached garage. We're looking to do 4 dwelling units, 1 unit per floor, 1 in the basement. It's 3 stories, 1 entrance, common entrance facing onto McMillan. Balconies are on the south side facing towards the commercial district. The building is 33 feet tall. We're going to have 4 vehicle parking outdoor, directly accessed from the rear lane, 4 bicycle parking, the 31-foot front yard setback on McMillan, 4-foot side yards, a 35-foot rear yard to the public lane. Our cars are going to come off the back lane. We're covering about just under 30% of the lot coverage. And we have our garbage and recycling is going to be between the house and the parking, and we'll just be rolled out with roll-out cars into the lane, typical for everybody else along that block. Again, 4 vehicle parking, they're outdoor. There are 3 8-foot stalls wide, and then 1 9-foot stall for guest parking, accessible parking, and concrete parking. We rezoned to RFM small. The variance is required to overcome the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the use of the private property. We're asking for variances related to the lot area, side yards, lot area, again, for dwelling units. We're having a main entrance facing, it says a street, not in a portion of the facade, some other variances. No worry, Councillor Eady.
Sorry, you're calling about gang activity in my village.
I was at your community committee meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
I heard all about that. So our site plan that we initially submitted will be changing because we initially had it with the concrete sidewalk in the front door on the west side of the building. We're going to flip that, and we're going to make it on the east side to keep that tree, and we're going to have new trees and shrubs along McMillan. We're meeting the front yard setback of 31 feet. We have a parking variance number 3, A and B, that has to do with parking stalls that are substandard in width and next to a fence. Those several examples along that back lane of substandard parking stalls that are less than 10 feet wide, 9 feet wide, 8 feet wide along that back lane, including directly to the south of us at that commercial property. In an air photograph I'm showing, you can see the kind of little haphazard parking that happens along that back lane. That's not my car though. We have a variance about a main entrance front facing a street, not a portion of the facade closest to the street. The front elevation will be redesigned to accommodate the existing tree in the front yard. Other nearby buildings also have recessed front entrances where a portion of the building is closer to the front of the street and then the entrance is set slightly back. A lot of other buildings along that street have that same type of characteristics. We have side yard variances of 4 and 5 feet. Other nearby buildings have less than 6-foot side yards. They have 5 feet, 4 feet, I think 3 feet. I'm showing some photographs of a couple of the houses that look like they're right on the property line. What will face the adjacent properties from the subject lands, we're going to have piano style windows that are serving bedrooms and bathrooms and a laundry room with a 5-foot side yard. We'll put up a wood barrier fence, no side doors. Again, on the other side of the building, facing west, we'll have no side doors, 3 windows, 16 square feet in size, serving the dining area, wood barrier fencing again. The dwelling units are going to be 1,219 square feet, 2-bedroom. Today, we already have our rezoning in place. We're just looking for the variances for the 4-plex with 4 parking stalls, all within 800 meters of high frequent transit. I'm open to any kind of questions that the committee might have.
You have
Sure.
question? Sure.
Yeah, thank you, John, for the detailed presentation. There were some concerns, of course, from the neighbors. We see them in the documentation here. Were any of those concerns mitigated? Tell us about that.
Yeah, the original public hearing, some of the concerns, so the clerks did send, some of the letters that with the initial appeal, I read them. One of them had to do, if I correct me wrong, lot grading, and I think another had to do with the basement digging and things like that. And my advice always to people, if there's new construction going into, next door to their building, I've been involved in several of these, is usually the onus is on, actually the landowner, is you should take pictures of your basement walls as they are right now today, and document that when you took pictures of it. And then document after the pictures. If there's already a crack in the wall, or you try to claim later on there's a new crack in the wall, you've got to document that there was no crack there before. So take pictures of your basement before, now or before construction starts. But all the construction usually, and I've been involved in many of these, I've known only one of them where it was actually in Osborne Village, actually, where some poor construction took place. I was involved in the project, but it was the church, and they caused damage to the house next door when they were excavating their parking lot. It was very well known, but I've been involved in projects like the new football stadium where they're driving in piles, or the new downtown arena back in the day when it was coming new, and they were piling, several days, concrete piles in the ground, and there were no damage to basements. So it's pretty rare for something like that to happen. But that's my advice to residents, is document your basement. You should do that in the springtime anyways as a homeowner, to see what has happened over the winter time, and for flooding, take documents and try to capture the date. Of course, the builder will be following all their regulations that they're required to be able to get a building permit. They're monitored by either workplace health and safety or the city of Winnipeg and building inspectors to make sure they're in compliance. I know there's been articles recently about developer or builders who are causing issues in neighborhoods. I've actually reached out to some of those builders. They're not clients of mine, but tried to help them out to get better along with the residents. I'm confident my client here will either work or meet with the residents nearby to try to bring forward a building that doesn't disrupt too much the neighborhood during construction.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So can you go back to slide 4?
Of course.
So just because you brought it up and it's in the presentation, I just want to hear, other than the appeal, okay? So you make the application, we're at 247 days to get to this.
Yeah, here, yeah.
Right, so in your perspective, where are we at with trying to accelerate things?
Okay, that's not part of today, Madam.
Well, he's got the days up there. He's talking about how long it's taken this project to get going. So is this project been adequately moving along? I'll ask the question like that.
I like to see housing in the ground. All the stuff I filed last year, I was hoping to have doors opening in the fall of 2026. None of them are opening fall of 2026. I'll open them. We'll have big ceremonies in 2027 for door opening ceremonies and people moving in then, but not in 2026. I go back and I looked at the time, and I did an appeal 6 years ago, and it was taking 99 days to get to the appeal hearing and for an approval for a lot split. I'm now filing, I've got 2 applications. I just got them accepted this week that I filed a year ago. And one is for like a 6-plex up on Henderson Highway. It's taken a full year to get processed. I'd like to see it down to where it was back in 5 years ago, 99 days, less than that. I suspect, I predicted this a year ago. It's been every year it goes up about 10 to 20 days. It went from 99 to 120 to 150 to 180 to, I'm working on stuff that's probably a year from now before I get to a hearing.
Okay, well, you put it on here and I'm just wanting to hear. Okay, any other questions? Nope. All right, Mr. Clerk, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Clerk, what's up next?
Okay, also in opposition to the appeal, we have Alexander Hunter. Alexander, you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Thanks. I also have a presentation.
This is the same one you had sent to us previously?
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
the same. I don't Oh, it's upside down. Just make sure the shares cannot see.
Okay. I think that's sorry, share it on Zoom
Yes.
here.
Correct.
Does that look good?
Perfect.
We're good to go. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Alex. I'm a resident who lives nearby. I live a couple blocks east of the property over in Osborne Village. I'm here to speak in support of the project and in opposition of the appeal. I guess the first thing is that, it's very difficult to make these meetings. I had to take a vacation day to come here today. I only get 10 vacation days a year. I had to spend the whole one to come here and speak. It's a lot easier to attend these meetings if you don't work during the week. And I think that, if these meetings were on the weekend or on the evening, you'd see a lot more young people come out to speak in favor of the projects. So starting with, Winnipeg's housing crisis. According to rentals.ca, cost of one-bedroom apartments is up 20% in the last 3 years. That's January 2022 to January 2025. You're looking at about a 7% increase per year in the cost of renting a one-bedroom apartment. Fall 2024 CMHC market rate rental report, vacancy rate is down to 1.7%. So that means that less than 1 out of every 50 apartments in Winnipeg is available to rent right now. That same report from CMHC says that the average income is increasing at 2.5% per year. So right now, the cost of rent is going up about 2 to 3 times the average income. Another concerning trend is that young people are leaving Manitoba. These numbers are from the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce. They say that the net loss of young people in Manitoba has been 23,000 people over the last 10 years. So that's the number of people who've moved here, minus the number of people who've moved away is negative 23,000 between the ages of 15 and 34. Now, there's a number of reasons that people leave for other provinces, including jobs, education, families. This survey here, again from the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, shows that walkable communities was the top quality of life factor that young people are looking for when moving to other provinces. As well as urban parks and quality transit. Another thing I wanted to point out is that most Manitobans support infill housing. This was a research survey done by Probe Research, published in the Free Press about a year ago. It shows that 60% of Manitobans support multifamily dwellings being built in all residential areas in Winnipeg, with only about 30% opposed. So, roughly double the number of people support infill housing as people who are opposed. Looking at this specific project now, it's in the McMillan Census Tract. This census tract has seen a 36% population decline since 1971. So over 50 years, the neighborhood lost 2,000 people. From 5,700 in 1971 down to 3,600 in 2021. This population loss can have a significant effect on local businesses. As a lot of people know, Cordon Hardware closed about a year ago. That was one of the city's last independent hardware stores. And I have no doubt that a 36% decline in the neighborhood's population is hurting the local businesses. And especially right now, if the U.S. tariffs come in, I think it's a more important time than ever to be supporting our local businesses. And one of the best ways we can do that is building more infill housing. Looking at the project, the new building will be 3 stories high. This is about the same height as the surrounding houses. The houses on McMillan are quite large. They're a full 2 stories, and then you have a large peak. And so the height of the peak is about a full 3 stories high. On the right here, you can see a 4-plex that was finished about a year ago at 761 McMillan Avenue. And it's about the same height as the buildings beside it. So I know there was a question earlier if similar projects have been approved in the area. And yes, they have. This is an example of a 4-plex right there. That's only 1 block away. In terms of the side yards, this was covered by the applicant. You have 4 feet on the east side yard, 5 feet on the west side yard. This is pretty typical for the area. Within the Corin Osborne area plan, this falls within the medium density residential zone. I would say 4 units falls within medium density. So this is consistent with the Corin Osborne area plan, in my opinion. Looking now at some of the inconveniences caused by infill housing, this is the building that's going on my street right now. I live on Scott Street there, just around the corner. 4-story building going in with 15 apartments. So, you know, you have your parking concerns, right? The reality is that these are central neighborhoods in the 7th largest city in Canada. The population of Greater Winnipeg is about 940,000 people now. We're looking at only another 5 or 6 years until Greater Winnipeg hits 1 million people. The reality of living in any major city is that there's not going to be a lot of street parking in central neighborhoods. That's just the way it is. In terms of privacy, I understand there's concerns about loss of privacy in people's yards. Again, this is a central neighborhood. This property is a 5-minute drive from downtown in the 7th largest city in Canada. Construction noise, that one's a real pain for sure. I can hear piles being pounded from my window sometimes. That's just something that you have to deal with. And the architecture, yeah, I mean, some of the buildings are ugly, I know. But I just don't think that, you know, some, you know, ugly architecture is a good reason to block new housing being constructed when we're in the middle of a housing crisis. The last thing I wanted to touch on here is just helping residents understand infill housing. I know there's a lot of changes that are going to be coming up with the new zoning bylaw. I think that the city of Winnipeg could do more to inform residents about the upcoming changes and also just about infill housing in general. You know, what happens when you get a house built beside you? What can you do if you're worried about your foundation, as John was saying earlier? I think that it would be useful to put a lot of this information on the city's website in order to help people understand more about infill housing. I also think it would make sense to have somewhere to submit complaints, because I know, you know, infill developers aren't perfect. Sometimes they make a lot of noise or they leave a lot of garbage lying around. So I think it would make sense to have somewhere to submit complaints. And I also think it would make sense to hire some more bylaw officers in order to enforce the rules that do exist. So in summary, I think that we need to build more housing. I think that we need to build a lot more housing. This is an excellent location. It's in a walkable neighborhood. It's very close to transit. I think that the height of the building is reasonable and the setbacks are similar to other properties on the block. The density is consistent with the Corin Osborne area plan. And for those reasons, I support the project and I hope that it gets approved. Thank you.
Okay, good points. Councillor Sharma, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Alexander, for your presentation. Very, very detailed. You not only took time off work, as you mentioned, but you took time to put this presentation together. There's a lot of detail in here, and I don't think that's lost on the committee, so thank you for being thoughtful. You've mentioned a lot of the points, like you said, near a transit corridor, walkable neighborhood, the building aesthetic looks good.
I think it looks.
Am I summarizing that correctly?
I think it looks fine. Yeah, it's good enough.
Right.
It's good enough.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, any other questions for Alexander? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, we haven't had anyone pre-register in opposition to the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak for information on this appeal? Seeing none, we can now go to questions for the administration.
Well, a very thorough presentation again from both the proponent and others. We've got letters here that we are understanding that the tree will be saved. Are there any questions from anyone?
You talk about snow storage, it may have been mentioned, reiterate any concerns about snow storage or how's that gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of many challenges, like parking is one of them as well, but that you face with development in the inner city communities. Snow storage, it's not really something that was brought up in my report. I acknowledge that that could potentially be a concern. I mean, the parking takes up the entire lot width, right? So, I mean, that's certainly something to consider, but
But there wouldn't be snow storage. It'd be like a pass through.
correct,
There'd
yeah.
likely be a windrow created that residents would have to remediate themselves.
I would agree, yeah.
Okay, Counselor Sharma, did you have a
Ready for-
question? I
no,
thought you had
mo-
questions. Okay, all right. Well, if there's no more questions, then you have a motion. All right,
I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Move that the report of public representations be concluded.
All in favor? Carried.
I'll move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. It does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. It is the minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and it is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. Supporting reasons, I do agree with, it's a fact that it's near a high-frequency transit network. And Madam Chair, it meets the Cordon Osborne Neighborhood Plan in our Winnipeg. It's aligned with all of that. We heard that the developer is making an effort to preserve the trees. There's also an arborist report that's attached. So that's good to have that detail. And as our speaker, Alexander, pointed out, it is a walkable community near amenities. We also heard that from Mr. Wintrip. So I think this is a place that it's very suitable to do this type of development. So those are my supporting reasons. Thank you.
All right, so now we'll vote on her supporting reasons. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
I'll move that the appeal be denied and the decision of the City Center Community Committee be concurred in.
okay, all in favor? Carried.
I'll move that the variance order DAV 220458 2024D be canceled.
Confirmed.
Confirmed, pardon me.
Okay.
Be confirmed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Move let the public hearing with respect to these appeals be concluded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Right. So now we have no statement from the clerk. That's it on that. Okay, so now, because I've heard these other two, I will not be staying. So someone else will take the chair. Councillor Chambers, you can take the chair. And that's that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Are you gonna stay there or are you gonna move? You should stay there. Okay. Do you want to break or?
We're gonna go
We'll just
till,
keep going.
yeah, we're gonna go till about 1:45, because I have a noon meeting.
Okay. And we might be, okay, how long's the meeting? Or we might be able to just talk.
Yeah, if we can get through this one and then.
Okay, let's go.
We'll go straight to item 3. Item 3 is an appeal against the decision of the Assiniboia Community Committee to approve a variance for 199 Parkview Street under file DAV 186853A/2024D. Members of the committee, please note additional communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. Turn it over to the administration for a brief overview.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Yeah, so this would be pretty familiar to this community committee. It was opened and then adjourned at the last appeals meeting. But this is a property at 199 Parkview in the St. James ward. It's a variance application and there was an associated subdivision and rezoning application. Both of these applications went to the Assiniboia Community Committee and were approved on October 31st of 2024. The approval of the rezoning was subject to the development having a maximum of 6 dwelling units and a maximum height of 28 feet. Both of these were less than what was originally applied for. Originally applied for was a building, I think, of 35 feet and 8 units. As well, there's a requirement that plan approval come to the community committee, the Assiniboia Community Committee. Just a quick note again about one of the variances, that the variance 1D for the north side yard setback. This was approved by the community committee without proper authority, and so this is an error that would need to be corrected today, regardless of what other decisions this committee makes. The community committee essentially doesn't have the authority to grant a greater variance than what was applied for by an applicant. And in this case, the north side yard, they were given 2 feet more by the community committee than what they applied for. So this can't be granted, and so regardless of whatever other decision is made today, that should be corrected.
This is the one where the parking is to the north side of the building, right?
There is the plans
on the lane.
Yeah, this has a lane on the north side that flanks the property, and then also a lane at the back. The plans show most of the parking is accessed from the east lane at the back.
Yeah.
But their plans do show a parallel stall as well on the north. But
And there's also something about the building location needing possibly to be changed slightly.
yeah, that's that north variance. And these plans that are provided, and shared with the public and this committee today, these will of course not be the plans that are approved, because this is for a 3-story 8-plex. The community committee took it down to 6 units and 2 stories, or 28.
Any questions in public service?
Do we know how many suites are in the apartment across the street?
This came up last time. I believe there is maybe 12, but I'm not sure exactly.
We don't know. Okay.
Yeah, you're got it. So 12 apartments in the. You're referring to at the corner of Portage and Parkview.
Yeah,
Just to the
which is that kitty corner to where they're going?
that is just across a lane and then up one more door.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Okay. Seeing no further questions?
Okay, so we did not have our appellant registered today. However, we do have some folks registered in support of the appeal. First up, I will call forward Kelly Ryback. Kelly, you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Plugging in a PowerPoint presentation.
Just one more there. Let's get you to share on Zoom. Zoom icon for sharing.
Oh, thank you. So it's not your own, right?
Maybe relevant.
Hello, I'm Kelly Ryback in support of the appeal at 199 Parkview Street. And just to give some background information, I've lived in duplexes, townhouses, apartments, and bungalows. Third generation of my grandfather was a flipper before it became sexy. He held a successful flooring and broadloom shop on Selkirk Avenue. Before that, he was a successful roofer. My father in the flooring industry, and was also a renovator and home builder. And we acquired some trade skills as third generation. Lifelong St. James resident outside of 3 years of my life. This is the existing property. The site in question is to the left, and then the neighbor's house to the right on the south of it, on 199 Parkview. This is the corner of Portage Avenue in Parkview. The right picture is the west side. There's a beauty salon and then a retail fireworks shop. And beyond that is a co-op gas station. On the east side, right off the back lane is a professional services location. And then right on Portage Avenue is the 3-story apartment block. To the east of the apartment block is Anderson Orthopedics, which serves customers with prosthetics, pulled out victims with braces and other disability products. Okay, this is from the north of the property of 199 Parkview at the north back lane, which runs parallel to Portage Avenue. I just wanted to show what that frontage looks like. There is a wheelchair ramp in the front.
So what side runs parallel to Portage?
The north side.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like at the professional services building on the back lane, north of 199 Parkview. On the original proposal, because I know last meeting of the appeal meeting we talked about extending in front to what the balconies are going to look like. That we're really interested to see what the new plan is, because on the original plan, that balcony would extend to about the middle of that wheelchair ramp, 8 feet in front of the neighbor's property. The picture on the right just shows what an angle would be of a vehicle driving west on the back lane, approaching Parkview, now having a further obstructed view of the sidewalk in the street because of this building extending further on the original proposed plan. It's only 17 feet away from the sidewalk. Then I just took the liberty of using my house as an example. If I was looking out my window and there's a new building extending 8 feet in front of me, about 12 feet away, which is what this was to be, all I would see is a wall, either direct on or looking at an angle. I would lose the complete view across the neighboring yard. And that's also now could be considered a safety risk because of the obstruction of the whole house being blocked from the new building based on activity from the back lane or Portage Avenue. Okay, that's what the neighbor would be looking at if the previous proposed plan went through, and I don't think that's fair. These are the back lanes. The picture on the left, that's the back lane that runs parallel to Portage Avenue on the north side. And on the right side of that picture, that's the driveway and the garages. There's 6 garages for that 12-unit apartment block on Portage Avenue. Because there's only 6, there's a lot of residents from the apartment block that park on Parkview, and even noted today, noticing as I came here today, looking down Parkview, the street is full. There's no parking, very little accessible parking today. When you're introducing a multi-dwelling unit with more parking requirements, it's going to make compound the problems. The picture on the right, that's the east back lane between Parkview and River Oaks. When you look on the left side of that picture, that is the property in question. And with now that being all the accessible parking with 6 stalls, that existing snow storage is gone. And you're looking at a lot more snow that has to be removed to accommodate those 6 new parking stalls, but you'd lose that snow storage. And just with the ruts, you couldn't drive a compact car on that down. This is the view from the northeast corner of 199 Parkview. That's showing Anderson Orthopedics. That's at the intersection with the other back lane. And that spot with Anderson Orthopedics, and where this picture taken from, that's where the recycling and the waste bins would be. Customers of Anderson, they use that spot to gain access because of snow banking and on Portage Avenue makes their building almost inaccessible, but that is customer service center. So multiple issues on when that snow has to be cleared out of the parking spots, where are the residents parking, where is the snow storage? And between snow clearing and recycling garbage pickup, how's that's going to impact customers of Anderson Orthopedics and the access to the garages for the apartment block. This picture, I took liberty of, the bylaw requires a 9,000 square foot lot for a residential multifamily unit. I've taken the diagram of the lot and put it onto a 9,000 square foot lot. That the lot size is extremely small compared to what the bylaw requires. So it's the development, the request development of the original proposal is extremely oversized for the size of the lot. Okay, the rest of the pictures are what I provided on the previous, on the previous appeal meeting that was adjourned. And again, it's over 70 residents of Parkview, River Oaks, and another neighboring street oppose the application. It is not in character. There are issues with the snow storage, the parking, the impact to the neighbor and the surrounding area is not in tune with, it's out of character. It could create a substantial adverse effect on the neighbor and the neighboring community. They're asking you to grant the appeal. And regarding timelines, first off, the public service recommended a duplex and did not support the 8-unit application. If a duplex or a fourplex was provided without requiring these extreme variances, then there likely would not have been any opposition to the project. There wouldn't have been appeals. Things could have been done faster. I can tell you on 2 other projects with this planner, it's been almost 2 years since third reading has been provided on those projects, and nothing's been done. In that time, in one particular, an affordable single-family home has been left vacant. But a lot of these timelines are also they're based on the applicant, not just on the city process. That someone could have third reading and 2 years later, nothing's happening. But again, this is out of character. If it was a duplex or a fourplex, likely no opposition. And just as considered without the variances, they couldn't do a footprint of 8-unit or 6-unit. That go back to the drawing board. And then the reason also for the opposition is from the previous meeting, we don't know what the new design is. So therefore we need to have a voice as to this for today. So thank you very much. If there's any questions?
Yes, so the opposition of the 75 signatures that you got there are based on the 8-plex?
Yes.
Okay, and because you haven't seen any plans for the 6-plex?
Then it's tough to comment. And also I'm asking to grant the appeal, because if you deny the appeal and then go forward with the design for the 6-plex, there isn't another hearing. It's just based on being able to get to a Assembly Community Committee meeting for plan approval. And residents won't even see notification of that in a public forum, in a public way, without going to winnipeg.ca and tracking it and even knowing when it would come up. Ask that if for a new plan, there should be a new application for variances so that there's proper public notification.
Okay, duly noted. Any other questions? Seeing none?
Okay, and just if I can just add one more statement that I've talked to numerous real estate agents. That would be the impact to the neighboring property and into that area if they go to sell their home with now this kind of dwelling beside them, and 100% consensus that property would now be more difficult to sell with a longer timeline of listing and not getting a reduction in price if this big complex did not exist beside it. So there is an adverse effect.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You spoke to the Which real estate agents? Do you talk to the real estate board or?
No, just real estate agents that I know that, here's, I'll give you an example. Let's say if the neighboring property listed today and got a listing price of, I'm just giving an example. So let's say it's $350,000 and it sells in a month. If there's a large multi-dwelling unit beside it, especially if it extends beyond it and has other privacy issues, the issues we talked about, they wouldn't get 350 and it would sell much longer than a month's time frame.
Well, that's interesting because I have a huge 72 unit building being built, and the property owners who are 3 doors down acknowledge that from what they've seen, the value of their house is going up, not down.
Okay.
So I don't.
Counselor, I'm
I
just
think it
speaking
depends
to,
on what real estate agent you're talking about.
well, I'm speaking with real estate agents who primarily work in the St. James area, and they're speaking to the immediate neighbor to the south, as an example. And they said the fortunate part on this side is the proposed structure is not on the south side blocking the sun, but there still could be an impact. But
All right. Okay.
okay.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none? Thank you for your presentation this morning.
Thank you.
Next, in support of the appeal, we have Brian Kipling. Brian, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Name is Brian Kipling, a long-term resident since 1979, right across the street at 186 Parkview Street.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My concern with this particular type of housing is I don't think it fits the character of the area. Most of the area houses in this area are single-family dwellings, with the exception of down the street. Just south of me, about 10 houses would be 2 duplexes. This is an 8-plex that was required or what was asked for, perhaps maybe reduced to a 6-plex, which still doesn't fit the character of the area or the resident density for parking in the area. That was something that we were particularly concerned with. Since I've been living there in 1979, the infill houses at that time were one house would be taken down on a piece of property and one house would, similar house would be put up. And over the years, it's changed to 2-story homes from single-story homes that were replaced. Now they are, we have a couple of duplexes. They fit the area a little bit better than what an 8-plex or a 6-plex would fit. Infill houses were generally being replaced with similar homes, and this is an apartment complex that is being put in a residential area, which to me doesn't fit the character of any of the homes in the area at all. That's pretty much all I have to say with that.
Any questions from committee members?
Not at this time. Okay.
Okay, seeing none. Thank you for your presentation this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, we haven't had anyone else pre-register in support of the appeal. However, is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak in support of the appeal? Seeing none, we can now move to those in opposition. John Winthrop, I'll call you forward. You'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Yes.
Oops, that's not fine. There we go.
Morning, my name is John Winchell. I'm here for 199 Parkview. First, I'd like to offer my apology. I believe this was previously scheduled at another appeals hearing. I was unable to make that a meeting, so my apologies to the residents who had to come out here again today and to the committee, allowing me to be here today. We're here on item number 3 regarding 199 Parkview. I'm John Winchell, a member of the Canadian Institute of Planners, registered as well as certified in the United States, along with a couple other associated credentials. We're here for, we went through a rezoning process for a rezoning for RF and medium for 6 units and 7 parking stalls. I was the applicant at that matter. It's gone through council. We're in the agreement stage for that application. It's all being approved by council. As I said, the variances went to the Assiniboine Community Committee. We started this back in April. We're around day 276 now for the appeals of the public hearing. We need these variances for construction. So the rezoning is being successfully completed. As I said, we're in the agreement stage. We're here for 3 stories, 6 residential units within 800 meters of high frequency transit for the variances, not the rezoning. 199 Parkview is in the Bruce Park neighborhood in the St. James Ward. It's on the west side of Parkview, 1 door south of Portage Avenue, 1 block north of Assiniboine Avenue, 4 blocks east of Ferry Road. Directly to the north is some C2 zone land. It has a residential land use, though I'll get into that shortly, but it's zone C2. We're in an intensification target area with a combined sewer district of Ferry Road. We're outside the new PDO for malls and corridors, outside that new corridor that was just approved by council. We are within Area 1 of the PDO Mature Communities Overlay. That's a new PDO that was approved last July. We are in the Airport Vicinity Protection Area regulation. Essentially, these regulations indicate that we have to have some sound attenuation on the building. It doesn't prevent new infill housing. It just requires us to have some sound attenuation. Within 15-minute walking are several amenities. St. James High School is a 6-minute walk to the west. Bruce Park is a 6-minute walk to the west. Tim Hortons at the corner of Ferry Road and Portage Avenue is 5 minutes to the west. The community club is 6 minutes to the southwest. Good dog run park there too. Family Foods is 5-minute walk to the west at Ferry Road and Portage Avenue. The Viscount Gort Hotel, which is down by Polo Park, is a 12-minute walk to the east past the new fire station down there. It's a walk score of 90, considered a walker's paradise, and 87 for very, very bikeable. A lot of people bike along Assiniboine Avenue on Sundays during the winter, during the summertime to get down to Assiniboine Park, Deer Large Park. Very beautiful during the summertime. Transit this year, currently we have the 11, 21, 22, the 26 rolling down Portage Avenue. The 26 goes down Berry Street. In this June on the big transit switchover, the blue line, the new blue line will go down Portage Avenue with a stop at Ferry Road. That's 300 meters away from the blue line. As I mentioned, the cycling network along Assiniboine Avenue takes you over to Bruce Park, down to Assiniboine Park, gets you over to, you can get all the way over to like Wolseley area. I've ridden it many times. The front street, Parkview, is no front sidewalk, front driveways, concrete sidewalk. There's on-street parking on the west side. We're on the east side of the street. It's a P3, 60 feet wide. The back lane that flanks us directly to the north of us, our flanking back lane is concrete, has driveways, garages, it's 20 feet wide. It connects Parkview to River Oak. Fronting along Portage Avenue is what we share that back lane with, is commercial and residential. We have a back lane to the rear of us, directly to the east. Again, it's a concrete back lane. It's where all the garages are. Driveways come off that back lane to serve the residential along River Oak and Parkview. It's 20 feet wide and it connects south to Assiniboine Avenue. C2 is directly to the north. R1 is to the east, west, and south of us. Directly west is a single detached dwelling fronting Parkview. Northwest is a 2-story commercial building fronting Portage Avenue. directly to the north of us is a residential building. So zone C2 is residential. At the rear of the property are garages, almost like a townhouse design, a row of garages with overhead doors that take parking off the back lane. To the east of us is a single detached dwelling fronting River Oak that has large mature deciduous trees at the back of their property. You cannot even see in the photograph I'm showing, you cannot see from our property that house with their mature trees. Directly to the south of us, our neighbor is a single detached dwelling. They have a detached garage in the rear. They front park view as well. Our property, it was zone R1, it's now zone RFM. It is 5,973 square feet. It's 50 feet by 108 feet. It's a corner lot. We have a back lane to the directly to the north as well as to the east, with park view on to the west of us. Currently, while we're allowed to go up to 35 feet in height under the R1 zoning and have 4-foot side yards with one dwelling unit. It's a single detached building. It was a place of worship. It had no trees in the front yard and the entire back lane is paved. It looks like a single dwelling, detached dwelling that was converted to, looks like an institutional type building. It has a wheelchair ramp in the front. It has a steel metal door, small windows, not picture windows, small square windows fronting the street. I think they actually have a screen mesh on top of them. It's always looked institutional. I grew up out in the area. It's looked like this as far as I can call since I was a kid when I was biking around out there. So it was used as a place of worship before the current property owner purchased it. The church relocated. There's no trees in the front yard. Part of it is actually paved with asphalt. It looked like it was a parking stall, but there was no connection to the front street. There's 2 trees in the front boulevard, and again, a partially paved front yard with asphalt. The entire rear property is paved with asphalt. It was the parking area for the place of worship for many years. There are large mature deciduous trees along our common property line that we're not removing, as well as an existing wood barrier fence on the property line that effectively screens the entire south property. Again, the rear yard is entirely paved with asphalt. The vehicle access is actually from the flanking lane. It's entirely open. There is a post and chain fence along the east property line to the lane, so all the access came from the north. We're proposing 6 dwelling units, 2 units per floor, 3 stories in height, with a residential entrance facing Parkview and the balconies on the west side. So we've drafted up a site plan of what was approved out of the community committee. We asked for a higher density in different yards. Had end up out of that process meeting with residents. We've increased our east side yard, our south side yard to our neighbor to the south to 8 feet. We've made that 8 feet. We're going to have 6 bicycle parking stalls, 7 parking stalls off the rear of the back lane. We're 22 feet to the front yard to the building face. 17 feet to the balconies. So we're going to have a 8-foot side yard to the south, and we're going to have about 8.5 feet to 7 feet to the north. We're still looking at that, but right now we're asking for the variance now for that. And the vehicle access will now shift from the flanking public lane to the rear public lane to our east. Again, we've rezoned it to RFM medium, and there's a subdivision for a lane widening, a corner cut, because again, we're on a corner. The city's taking some land for a corner cut for garbage trucks, et cetera, to navigate around our property to go from the flanking lane to the north-south lane. The variances are required to overcome the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the use of the property. At this point, I'm just going to quickly mention the planning department will have in their report what's called these tests, these 4 criteria for approving variances. They are, is it consistent with the development and any applicable secondary plan? Does it not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities? Is it the minimum modification of the zoning bylaw? Is it compatible with the area? Of those tests, just to address one of the previous speakers, value of land is not one of those criteria. So the criteria is laid out in the City of Winnipeg Charter for criteria for approving Variances under 247.3. That's the criteria the committee has to look at today. May I continue? Is that a beeping for me?
Move extension.
I move extension, how much time do you need to?
2 minutes of that.
2 minutes? 5 minutes?
Sure.
I'll move 5 minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Right, so the criteria you have there has nothing to do with value of surrounding lands. The variances we need are for lot area, a south side yard of 8 feet instead of 12, a north side yard of 8.5 feet instead of 12. That 8.5 feet would be against a public lane. We've increased the side yard to 8 feet against the neighbor to the south. Originally, we had it 6, so we've tried to comply closer to the bylaw. The insufficient landscaping, building landscapings is in the front yard. We are going to landscape the front yard. It's just not going to be around the foundation because we have balconies that we want in the front, not necessarily landscaping. And then no guest parking. We've identified no guest parking. And we need insufficient buffering at the rear lot line we're taking our vehicles from the back lane. So we can't put landscaping and fencing there because we need that variance to allow the vehicles to cross over. That's a very common variance. So we believe we fit the 4 points criteria under the charter for approving these items. The front yard, again, we would actually remove the pavement and restore the current pavement in the front yard and restore it to grass and landscape it with trees and shrubbery, just not necessarily along the building foundation, which is a variance. Again, we're going to trees and shrubs. The front yard is going to be 17 feet to the balconies, 22 feet to the building face. The front yard alignment came in at 19 feet. We are going to landscape that front yard with trees and shrubbery and grass and restore the front yard. Directly to the south, what we're going to have is 4 windows, a window for a kitchen and a bedroom, and we're going to have an 8-foot side yard and a wood barrier fence. Again, we're going to have a wood barrier fence and an 8-foot side yard to the south of us, no doors, just windows for bedrooms, etc. To the north, I don't think it's against the back lane. We're going to have 4 windows and a 8.5 foot side yard. The suites are going to be 750 square feet and 2 bedrooms. Parking is a concern. A number of parking cities across North America have actually eliminated their parking requirements. Toronto, Edmonton, Vancouver, Saskatoon, Regina have reformed or eliminated their parking to abolish their parking minimums in 2024. Winnipeg is actually an outlier in that, requiring parking still. There are several alternative modes of transportation. It's a walker's paradise, good transit, very bikeable. We're within 100 meters of rapid transit in 2025. We're looking for approval for 6 dwelling units and 7 parking stalls. I'm open to any questions that the committee might have today.
Are there any questions for committee members?
Aye.
Go ahead, Councillor. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm sorry, so have you put together a tentative 6-unit structure plan?
Yes, so we went forward first with 8 units with a different parking configuration. At the community committee hearing, we agreed to scale it back to only 6 units.
Yeah.
And we did talk to the neighbor to the south. I'm not sure if that neighbor is here today, but we increased our side yard. And so we drafted something up and I submitted it to the committee to make sure that's reviewed. We still have to go through a process that still has to go through a variance process, it has to go through a zoning analysis. I still need plan approval. We're at the stage of the zoning agreement just being signed and completed with the city, then I can move on to the next stage. I wanted to draft something up to illustrate to the committee that we can meet with the Assiniboine community required in terms of the yards and the parking and do the 6 units.
So I just want clarification though. 8 down to 6, so sounds like you're taking away 4. The footprint of the actual building, is that changing or?
No, so before we had some basement units. So all we did was eliminate essentially the basement units. So we're going to try to do it slab at grade so that you can make it more accessible. And we're just not going to have basement units.
Oh, okay.
We eliminated our 2 basement units.
Okay, now you heard the administration that the community committee may increase a variance, which that can't happen. Are you aware of that? That
Yeah, if we have to come forward again for,
you said 8 feet, but
well, we originally, I believe, wanted a 6-foot side yard against the neighbor to the south, and they granted, so we increased our
that's
yard.
to the north, right?
Yeah, so we're to the north, our neighbor to the south, we changed that variance. That's the one that we wanted to change the most to.
You know, that's not allowed. So.
You can go, we didn't make the variance more intense, we made it less. We went from a 6-foot variance to, we're asking for, instead 8 feet. You can't go from 6
So you're
to 4.
increasing it, right?
No, I'm decreasing the amount of variance.
Sorry, councilors, just a point of clarification. The variance in question is the north side yard.
Yeah, that one, if you don't want to approve that today, I don't want to say I don't care. I'm more concerned about the neighbor to myself.
Okay, that one's,
Yeah.
but the north side is a problem, so just.
If I have to fit within whatever is approved here today, we'll try to make it fit. If I have to come back for a minor variance for something, I'll go through that process. It's typical. This is more for the audience and for some people, is that when you go through a process like this, you then go design the building, get into plan examination, you get into the lot grading, and it's very often I'm coming back getting another minor variance.
Okay. The original application was 8 units, no guest parking. With 6 units, can you provide guest parking?
Yeah, I can label, again, I didn't want to change the design too much. I can label one of the stalls guest parking to eliminate that variance. A couple of the variances, I think I can eliminate that one. If need be, I with the balcony, I think I could add more building landscaping in the front, around the foundation of the building. We're going to landscape the front yard.
Yeah.
The insufficient buffering at the rear lot line, I can't meet that variance because I need the parking cars to drive across the property line to enter their stall.
Yeah,
I'm more interested in making sure I have that 8-foot variance against the south side yard because I promised the landowner to the south, and that's a commitment I made, and I want that in writing to provide to the public, and I'm not going against that one.
Okay, so 6 units, so you'll probably have garbage carts and stuff, but I think a fair point that was brought up is, well, so you got a parking lot. Where's the snow storage going to be?
I have a lot of snow storage, so the lot is not entirely rectangular. It slants because of the back lane. So the front of the property is 50 feet and the rear of the property is something like 7 parking stalls is wider. I don't know,
So
70
feet.
Yeah, and so then between the buildings, so between the north side yard goes from like 7, 8 feet up to like 10 feet or something like that. So there's lots of storage space on the along our north side yard against the public lane for snow. The distance between the parking stalls and the building is 11 feet. Again, I've got a lot of space for parking at the back of the building to the parking stalls. The parking stalls are 25 feet in length, not 23 feet. So I actually have a couple feet there for a windrow down the back lane. So the lot is there's plenty of space for snow storage on this lot. Or either, the grader that slides down the public lane to the north or the public lane to the east of us, as well as our own snow storage.
Yeah. You can have windrows, those back lanes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have windrow probably along the public lane to the north of us because my neighbor directly to the north, their parking lot is all the vehicles directly access. There's no space for windrow there. So it's all gonna be pushed onto this property.
I think that's all the questions. I'm sorry, you're saying because it was changed at zoning, we've had a lot of dates in between, but so you're saying if this was approved, you don't need the variance related to the guest parking space?
If you decide not to choose the guest parking space, I can make it work by labeling one of the parking stalls as visitor parking. I expect to go through another, I have to submit for a development permit, what includes the lot grading plan and the design of the building, and I believe I have to come forward with a plan approval. And it's normal that if there's another minor variance related to some items that I correct, the big ones I'd say that are significant are the insufficient buffering at the rear lot line. I can't make this project work without that variance. 7 parking instead of 10. The south side yard of 8 feet is what we're looking for, what we had met with the neighbor. And the lot area of 5,973 square feet instead of 9,000 square feet. That's a variance I absolutely need.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, before I have Councillor Sharma ask questions, we're gonna recess for lunch. I have a lunch meeting that I have to get to. So we're gonna break now till 1:30.
1:30.
Yeah. Anytime we get back.
We're gonna do sharp 1:30.
Okay, sharp
Yeah.
1:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Appeals Committee of the Public Works Standing Policy Committee. When we left, we were just in conversation with regards to 199 Parkview. And I believe Councillor Sharma has some questions.
First, should I put up my presentation again? Would that help?
Sure.
Okay, sure if you needed.
I didn't have any just at the moment. I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have some more questions.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Eady.
Refocus myself for a minute.
Yeah, actually, I don't think there's no rebuttals today because the actual appellants are not, right? Correct. So, is there a private walkway being established for people who are parking to get to the front door of the building and stuff?
Yeah, I'm just going to the slide, so I'm looking at it and I'll describe it to you for the counselor. Yeah, so along the south where we have the 8-foot side yard and at the south side, we'll have a paved walkway that goes to the front. But we also have a back door on the building too, and there'll be a paved back door. So the building will have a common entrance at the front and a common entrance at the back to allow entrances into the building. So the units can be accessed directly off the almost the parking in the back, and it'll be paved 5 feet wide, and then we'll have another 5-foot wide sidewalk that goes all the way to the front that connects to the sidewalk that connects to the public sidewalk.
So which way does that sidewalk run again?
These sidewalks will all run like east-west, parallel to the building, and then lead to all the entrances. The one on the front and
the one on the back.
Yeah, the one on the west side, the front, and the one on the east side at the back.
Okay, so the path that takes you to the front door, that's on the south side?
Yeah, south side.
Near the south property that you're saying you were trying to accommodate?
8 feet, yeah, where we're having an 8 feet wide, but we also have, I'm just looking at it right now, we also have a walkway that goes to the back door directly off the parking area.
Side going over to the door.
Yeah, and of course, we also have the, if people want to walk down the back lane to get to the front door as well.
And the back lane is on the
north side. Yes, we have a back lane on the north side, concrete, and a back lane on the east side, concrete, because we're a corner lot, and so yeah, getting to the front door from the back is pretty easy here.
And what I'm getting at, I'm concerned about, the snow, right? So all that stuff's got to be cleared, right?
Well, the hallway that goes down the middle of the building will have a back door and a front door. So if the south side yard is completely filled with snow, they'd still be able to just go through the use the back door and walk into their unit. I would think most people will probably use like the closest unit to the parking and use the back door and not walk along the side of the unit and then go into the building.
So, I mean, if there's a need, I know of other places, they have no choice but to remove snow. The service provider comes, scoops the snow into a truck and takes it away. if there's too much snow, is like, are the owners or whatever aware that they might have to be moving snow so that the back lanes are not encumbered? And
Yes, the landowners are own other properties around Winnipeg and have been doing more than a few houses and buildings like this. Certainly I'm well versed in snow. I believe they are too. Something like this is most likely. And we're talking about snow events this year. I don't think my parking lot in Osborne Village has almost no space for snow storage. I don't think we hauled any snow out of there this year. We didn't have.
This year.
Yeah, this year. Not bad last year. We didn't haul any out last year because it was pretty warm last January too. Well,
did you have to remove? Okay.
Yeah, I've had.
There's a back lane. There are windrows, right?
Yeah.
So you have to move that snow.
Yeah, we'll have to move the snow just on the back lane that runs north-south at our east side of our property. That back lane will have a windrow, and we'd have to remove that snow. But between our parking stalls are already 25 feet in depth, and we have a space between the back of the building and the parking that we have more than 11 feet, almost 12 feet between the back of the building to our parking stall, which is 25 feet. So there's a couple feet there where if we have to move that windrow around, we can do that and put it onto our property. Yeah, we've got a lot of space on the property.
It's illegal to push it back.
Yeah, we're not. I know people live in Wolseley.
Okay. All right. Anyway, those are my snow questions.
I'll assure you this. My dad worked for the city of Winnipeg for 55 years in snow clearing. I know a lot about snow. I went to school on graders and backhoes and front end loaders, so I know all about snow clearing in Winnipeg.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But you will have to move snow if there's too much, right?
Yes, of course. That's a typical thing in anybody in Winnipeg.
Because you're not allowed to put it in the public right away or anything, right? So.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. It was brought to our attention about so the building itself has setbacks. What are the setback related to the balconies? Like,
so the balconies.
I heard that are the balconies like, do they protrude out like 8 feet from the building?
No, 5 feet out from the building on the front end of the building only. They protrude out 5 feet, and they're to the balcony. It's 17 feet to the balcony, and to the front yard is 22 feet to the face of the building. 17 foot to the balconies. The balconies are 5 feet, and the front yard alignment came in at 19 feet. So my balcony, it protrudes 2 feet beyond 24 inches beyond my front yard alignment.
All right. So 2 feet. Okay, which is pretty common. I think that's pretty common.
And they're open balconies made.
The balconies face.
They're transparent. They're going to be enclosed or anything like that. They're open balconies.
What are the balconies are facing where?
Facing west towards Parkview.
So what are they looking at?
They would be looking at actually a back lane because
All
of
the
the
balconies are that way?
yeah. So they're transparent balconies made out of glass or plastic or high density, including ground floor, second floor, third floor. Then directly to the east of us is one dwelling, commercial, but you can see directly to the west of us, they actually have a balcony on their second floor too.
Show us the one dwelling.
That's the house that we're looking out on, and it's a 2-story house, and they have a second floor balcony looking towards us.
So your balcony will look over to theirs.
Theirs and their balcony looks on us. And then because of the lot alignment, we also look more towards the back lane. It's slanted towards the river.
But the concern was that the balconies would look to the property to the south, directly to the south.
Directly to the south. I'll comment on balconies. I have a great balcony in Osborne Village. Wonderful. I'm not out on it like 365 days out of the year. Yeah, I'm here working all the time, but that's, I'd say from July to August, and it's really nice. I grew up out in that area. I see a lot more people having front yard balconies and approaches, and it's nice going through a neighborhood on a June or July day and seeing people on their balconies or in the front yard. It brings liveliness to the street. If somebody's standing on their balcony looking to the neighbor's yard constantly, I will dispute that. That's not my experience. I can't say I've observed that, but on a nice June day when I'm going through a neighborhood, walking my dog or whatever. I like seeing people out in their front yard. I like seeing them on the balcony. It brings life to the street. But it's pretty limited, unfortunately, because of the weather we have and the climate.
So the balconies face extend west.
Face west, yeah.
So only one balcony would be an issue for the property on the south side?
Three.
Three of them.
Well, two, because one is on the main floor and there's a 6-foot fence. So it's the balcony on the second and third floor that would
Yeah, those two balconies. right?
essentially look over to.
And it's just the
property to
south side of those balconies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to stand on the south, and it would just be the two on the south side of the building and on the two second and third unit, and they'd have to stand at the railing and look over. And, you know, like,
I was gonna say, I think I was on a balcony once where they had like,
we have that actually
they
looking.
have a kind of a thing.
Solid,
antis-
opaque.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that on the design. I'm looking at it right now. There's an opaque, like, wooden wall
Yeah.
along the,
So it looks pretty, but you
side.
can't see through.
Yeah, you can't look to the west. It extends above the balcony rail. It looks like it's about 6 feet tall. It doesn't go all the way up to the top to the next balcony, but it's a screen that will screen to the south so that somebody standing on the balcony can't look over and
Yeah.
see into the
They'll just
yard.
be looking out front to
Yeah,
the
the
west.
view is towards the west.
Or to the,
Yeah.
north, right?
So we'll screen that, and we've got that on the drawings that we submitted. I'm looking, describing it to you right now, Counselor.
Well, and it's decorative, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, any other questions? All right,
Nope.
seeing none, thank you for your
Thank
presentation.
you. Somebody else left the jump drive here. Just let me know. I'll stop by.
Okay,
Okay, so that concludes those who had pre-registered in opposition to the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone else here in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none. Is there anyone here for information on the appeal? Seeing none, we can move into questions for the administration at this time.
any questions of the administration?
Tell us, once again, if you can, the amendments that you were proposing.
Yeah, the amendment is that the north side yard be 10.5 feet, a setback of 10.5 feet as applied for. The community committee changed that at the hearing to 8.5. That's just not permitted because it's kind of giving them more entitlements through a variance than. Yeah, that was communicated to the applicant. I think they had acknowledged that when they were there.
10 feet for snow storage.
Yeah, 10.5 feet to the
To the north side.
property line. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Rachel.
Where was I? Oh. So at 8 units, they had to have 10 parking spots.
Yes.
At 6 units, how many do they need to have?
They need 7, which is what they are. The plan that was.
So that's what's there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like what, 1.2 parking stall per suite?
Yeah, that's 1.2, which is what the zoning bylaw requires here.
Okay, so there is no room to have a guest parking spot.
Well, they don't require one. The plans that the applicant had shown and was talking about, they show 7.
Yeah.
So that meets the zoning bylaw.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the guest parking, is it just entertained because of, it's a multifamily building, it's considered multifamily building?
Yeah, it's multifamily. I don't know if guest parking
Is it
under the zoning bylaw is required for a smaller building like this. Or,
Sometimes it is, yeah. But
yeah,
Essentially, it's like residents are gonna park in the guest parking space anyway.
yeah, unless they assign it as explicitly like
But how do you police it?
Yeah, I mean that would be up to any property management
So, yeah, so technically, they don't need a parking variance then,
Not with 6 units as they're approved.
as the
for.
zoning was approved, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's still,
so that one can be struck out too, right?
yeah, I mean, or it can just remain and would be moot, you know.
Okay. The applicant talked about, you know, depending on how things go, if they don't need the variance, they'll just, as the plan gets more for approval and everything. So it's okay if they stand in there, if it's not needed after being gone over by the public service and okayed by the director. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So if the variance doesn't exist after they build what they're building, then it's not a problem, right? You know what I mean? What you were just saying with the parking was,
Yeah,
it stays there, but it's moot
yeah,
because they have 7 parking spots.
yeah, and as long as
For
their
6 years.
final plans show, you know, provide those 7 parking spots, then they don't need a new variance for their parking.
All right. Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we move to motions?
Okay, I think we're ready to move to motions.
Good, go ahead.
I'll need some discussion on some amendments, so. Okay, I'd like to move that the receipt of public representations be, I'd like to first of all move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried?
I'll move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried?
I'll move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. It does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. It is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and it is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. It's always difficult, you know, when we have concerns from neighbors and perspective on what folks in the neighborhood want to see. And we need to make changes. We are evolving in all neighborhoods. So with this particular application in front of us, and there are amendments, by the way, I'll bring them up shortly.
In the next.
This is reduced density than what we saw from the community committee. It is reduced in height. It is a corner lot. It's close to Portage Avenue. I think it was 144 feet. They heard it the first hearing. It's essentially a really good infill project, Mr. Chair. It's compatible with our infill developments. It's on a paved lane. And there was an example of something across the street, a bit smaller, but the same sort of idea. So I'm going to support this application today. I do want some of the amendments. We'll get into that after, but I'll let you publish.
I'm gonna put my supporting reason. I'll be voting yes to Councillor Sharma's motion. I just, in addition, I would put on that we did hear from some residents who were talking about sewer backups and that sort of stuff in this particular area. It's my understanding that sewer separation in this area is basically completed. And there's 2 reasons we separated the sewers. One is so there's no overflows into the Assiniboine River, but also as purported in my ward, it's also preventing sewer backup because there's a lot of water that isn't ending up in the combined sewers anymore. So really it's not it shouldn't be a concern. They shouldn't be getting any sewer backups anymore. So anyway, so I'll, and for supporting reasons.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. I just want to add, I heard comment that there is asphalt to the front of the building that is going to be converted back into green space and landscaped. And that is a supportive reason right there. So I'll just add that for the public record. And that's to the front of the dwelling.
Thank you. And there's a lot of amenities in the area, just walkable in the area, good bus service. So again, tough decisions, you know, we hear from all sides and we have to make a decision. And I stand behind the positive aspects of this development that we just discussed, Mr. Chair. Okay, question?
I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Next, I will move that the appeal be denied,
Allowed.
allowed, pardon me, the appeal be allowed in part. And Mr. Planner, yeah, if we want to clarify about the positioning of the house, if you can give the wording on that.
Sure. Well,
I have it in front of me if you like.
Okay.
yeah,
So I have in 1D change 8.5 feet to 10.5 feet, which addresses the north side yard requirements.
I would like that. Is there any others we've missed regarding the parking lot? We're just leaving the parking?
Well, again, there was clarification on whether or not they need to apply for a visitor parking lot.
Okay. So as it stands, what do they need to do with the visitor?
there's, the requirement is 7 stalls, with 6 units. And there's no visitor parking requirement.
How many stalls are there again?
He was showing 7.
So we'll leave it at that. Okay. And that, and the decision of the Assiniboia Community Committee be concurred in. Okay, the question? Mr. Chair?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And the variance order DAV 186853-2024D be confirmed?
Yes.
Cancelled, we're canceling it.
No, because you
Okay, yes,
changed it.
we did change it, that's right, canceled.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And the public hearing with respect to this appeal be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, we're just going to, oh, you don't have.
No,
No. Okay, we're just going to briefly pause again. I have one more urgent matter that I have to clear off my desk. And we'll reconvene hopefully by 2:50.
I have one question, Mr. Clerk.
Yes.
If the chair is going to another matter of seated business, can we continue with 2 as quorum?
Generally, that would be if the leave of absence was moved at the beginning of the meeting, making the committee a committee of 3. That would allow to continue with a quorum of 2 in the event
But there's
of.
city business that's come up, okay?
I would need to check on what would happen to do that mid-meeting, as I have not come across that instance
We'll
before.
check it out if we don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
But
We're on a break.
otherwise, we're gonna come back, yeah.
What time? 2:15.
Okay.
And if I need an extension, I will text you. Good afternoon, and thank you for your patience in the February 26, 2025 Appeal Committee meeting of the Public Works Standing Policy Committee. We're on to item number 4, and I'll turn it over to our clerk.
Item 4 is an appeal against the decision of the Assiniboia Community Committee to approve a variance for Markham Road under file DAV 260688A/2024D. Members of the committee, please note additional communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'll turn it over to the administration for a brief overview.
Yes, thank you. So the subject site is located on the northeast corner of Markham Road and Gull Lake Road. This is adjacent to the L'Atelier line of the CN Railway and the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor. This property is located in the Waverly Heights neighborhood of the Waverly West Ward. The subject site is 2.4 acres in size, and the land is currently vacant. It's been vacant for many years, 25 or more years. The property is zoned RMFL residential multifamily large and is located within the rapid transit corridors policy area under Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0. The applicant proposes to subdivide this property into two separate lots, lots 1 and lot 2, and construct a multifamily residential building on each lot. Together, these two lots would have a total of 263 dwelling units. Specifically on proposed lot 1, it's proposed to contain a 4-story multifamily building with 118 dwelling units and a total of 92 parking stalls. On proposed lot 2, it's the applicant proposes to build a 6-story multifamily building with 145 dwelling units and a total of 133 parking stalls. The proposed subdivision and rezoning of this property was approved by the Assiniboia Community Committee and ultimately by council back in 2021. At that time, plans were submitted for a total of 260 dwelling units, with lot 1 having 80 units and a height of 4 stories, and lot 2 having 180 units and a height of 10 stories. Since 2021, the applicant's plans have changed, resulting in new variances to the standards of the Winnipeg zoning bylaw. So these new variances that needed to be applied for because of the change in plans was having an east side yard setback from Gull Lake Road, a front yard setback from Gull Lake Road, garbage enclosure setbacks between the two lots, parking area setbacks from Gull Lake Road. The number of parking stalls, they're proposing 92 stalls instead of 177 on lot 1 and 133 instead of 221 on lot 2. As well, there's a variance for parking area with no access because the parking on lot 1 will get its access through a shared cross-access agreement with lot 2. The public service supported these variances. In particular, the variances for the number of parking stalls is supported because of the proximity to the Southwest Rapid Transit Station, which is just a few short meters to the east of this site. As well, there's an active transportation route along the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor and commercial amenities nearby on Pembina Highway. As well, the plans show a high amount of indoor bike parking is provided.
In both buildings?
Yeah, that's correct, in both buildings. Several conditions of approval were recommended by the public service. So these were conditions ensuring that the number of bike parking spaces they showed on their plans are in the end provided. That a concrete wall be provided along the parking garage ramp along Markham Road. This ensures safety as well as visually improves the site, kind of screens that parking ramp. And that this parking ramp goes underground to underground parking. And that final elevation drawings included a variety of design elements. And it should be noted that plan approval, final plans will have to go to the community committee of the Assiniboia Committee. So on January 7th of this year, the Assiniboia Community Committee concurred in our recommendation and approved the variance application. The approval was appealed and is before this committee today. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Edie.
How close are these two lots to the L'Atelier line?
I'm just gonna pull that up. It's basically the adjacent property to the east. I know I have included that in my report, just to, in terms of the walking distance.
Well, I'm trying to determine, we have like a buffer zone along all railways now. There's a new federal, well, not new, it's a decade more old, but.
Yeah, MLT, I can't pronounce it.
Yeah,
The motion that took place at Lac Magnetique.
Right, and the Federation, I think it's
FCM.
FCM, yeah, we'll call it FCM. They have guidelines that the city of Winnipeg follows.
Yeah.
And with this, as part of the rezoning application back in 2021, we reviewed it to ensure that those guidelines are.
They were provided for.
Yeah. So there's no concern with this proposal as far as railway setback goes.
With this many units, would you consider this to be transit-oriented development?
Yeah, it's adjacent to a rapid transit line.
And a bus stop.
Yeah, and one of the stations on that southwest transit corridor. So this would be transit oriented development, specifically the rapid transit line.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the next, to our list of delegates.
Okay, I will start with our appellant. Apologies if I mispronounced this. Chirag Patel. I'm going to ask you to unmute and turn on your camera. You'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Hi, my name is Chirag. So I am in support of this appeal, not opposition. So maybe in just case if I made any mistake when I submitted my application. So I am supporting this appeal, and I have objection of this proposal because it's it will impact on our privacy and neighborhood's character. Also, like the parking ratio is less, and it will create traffic congestion. Already there is no sidewalk on Gull Lake Road, so young pedestrians walk on the road to go to Bonnie Castle School, and there is one side of street parking, so one side is always full of vehicles, and especially in winter time there snow makes difficult to walk them on the road, so it will increase the chances of accident. And also, like, especially the main reason is the height of this building, and the parking ratio is less. And I believe this proposal is in current with current neighborhood character, and it will create a ripple negative effect in the neighborhood, and it will make it unattractive neighborhood. So people, the property price will be decrease, I think. And yeah, and the parking ratio, like it's significant less than the previous proposal, so it will create more traffic congestion and burden on street parking. Yeah, so my two main concern is the height of the buildings and the parking ratio. That's it.
Any questions?
I also I would like to add that I will welcome the new developments in our neighborhood, but I think it should be congruent with the current neighborhood, because there are only two low-rise buildings, like 2-story, 3-story in that building. There are a couple, some buildings are mid-rise or high-rise, but they are on other side of the railway track, not the inside the neighborhood. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, next delegate.
Okay, also in support of the appeal, we have Naman Vora. I'm going to ask you to unmute and turn on your camera, and you'll have up to 10 minutes to speak after you state your name.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I am opposite of this project. As Mr. Patel say, there is a height, there is a congested, and traffic. So as we talked last appeal, so one bedroom apartment or two bedroom apartment, how many people allowed to stay? I asked this question, the lawyer or you guys, and they say we will ask the developer and we will let you know. So I need that answer as well. And we accept the low-rise building, as Mr. Patel say. I agree with that. Let that include like across the street, they have a 990 Markham and another 956 or something like that. So that is not affecting neighborhood and also traffic. So that 2-3 option. Complain about we have it. That's it.
That's your presentation?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Councillor Edie.
How close do you live to this new development?
Hello?
Hello?
The question was posed, how close do you live to this proposed development?
Just opposite to me. Opposite to my house.
Do you live on Gull Lake?
Yes, I'm living 249 Gull Lake.
Okay. And what was the question you wanted answered?
I want to answer the question. I want to ask you how many people, one bedroom apartment or two bedroom apartment, how many people allowed to stay?
The city has no rules in that regard, really.
So 2 bedroom, can I live 10 people?
It's not really relevant to the development application. They're not applying to build. They're not applying to build a rooming house. They're applying to build.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
There are nuances in terms of child and family services, how many people can live, can coexist in a room. But outside of that, the city of Winnipeg doesn't have any, as long as it's family. But as I said, child and family services or Manitoba Families has specific rules on ages of kids and and genders of kids in terms of who can cohabitate in a room.
Yeah.
Yes. So what they're doing, you don't know about that, and I told you as another lady previously, I forgot her name. So research it. In a 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom apartment, they give the like 6, 7, 8 people living in 2 bedroom apartment. However, and 2 more conjective. They have a Pembina apartment, you see over there, and you research as well. You don't believe to me. There is 2 bedroom apartment, 8 people are living, 10 people are living. So that community, that student, again, they come to in our home, and they create a problem to us. They have a more car, they have a more people, and there is no rules regulation. So until and how we invest, I have a 2-3 property on that area. So effect in our property, we invest millions of dollars, and again they reduce our price because so many people are engaged, and this is not a good area. Same like a downtown and Salter Avenue. There is lots of property on there. It's a red zone. I want to start a business. Bank don't give you the loan.
Usually lease agreements on apartments, the building owner will limit who is living in there or not. And I would point out to you, sir, that don't know if you're aware, but I know of 2 or 3 bedroom houses that have 11, 12, 14 people living in them. I know a family that I grew up with in a 4-bedroom house. They had 12 kids. So anyway, family is family, and
I'm so sorry.
It's not addressed in zoning and variances. The owner of the building has control over who rents and who doesn't rent the apartments. So
sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
If they give you the family, that I don't have a problem. I know family, I have a 5 people family, 7 people family, or 10 people family. They give you individual student and they create a more problem. And they don't care about it. They just want to build, they want to sell it, good to go. And also the same as a rental agency. They don't care about, oh, you provide this document. Nobody who live in the apartment, they don't care about it.
Okay, so I think the issue that we're on here is an appeal for the it's not a subdivision, it's
Variance.
variance. And so I don't know if the question you're asking is in context to what we're discussing here.
Okay.
It's contacting, sir, because if you building 6 rise or 10 rise buildings, right? So more people are coming in the apartment, they create a more problem to our neighborhood.
All right. Anyway, we don't deal with rental, Clark. This is strictly.
Yeah, see, you
So
just say
we're finished. We're finished with asking. What you're talking about right now is not relevant to the variance, so.
to affect our neighborhood community. You just sign the paper and you hurt our community. And the builder don't want the builder just make a building, that's it, and sell. They want just money. So it's okay. It's decision is your ultimately decision is your on in your hand. So our community wants not rich public. If you give the permission, low rise like three rise or 4 rise, that's we agree. I know it's empty space. Builder they have invest of the money on the land. They want to grow like make a building. It's okay. I agree with you. I'm a businessman as well. So we don't want a nuisance. That's I'm telling and everybody telling.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, next up.
Okay, also in support of the appeal, we have Osvaldo Cantafio. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Osvaldo, I'm just going to ask you to unmute and turn on your video. You'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Go ahead, you have 10 minutes for the committee.
You are still muted at this time.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
All right, my name is Osvaldo Cantafio. I live, I wrote something here. So I'm living at the residence at 253 Gull Lake Road in front of this proposed development. I just want to say that 100% fully reject it and just disagree with this proposed development. This planned large-scale development is ludicrous in the area around our homes, and nowhere on this side of the train tracks in the Waverly Heights area is anything larger than 3 stories. Allowing this developer to do what they want to this massive large-scale construction and structures to go up in front of our homes is not acceptable. If the project goes through, there has to be parking for each tenant and visitors, no matter what, because we don't need the streets in front of our homes to be filled with tenants parking along Gull Lake Road or other streets. The recommendations of this developer says that they're going to have some kind of co-op car sharing plus the use of transit and bicycles. This is not the answer. Some people will use transit, but 90% of people, the tenants, will have their own vehicles. What else is here? And everyone has friends and relatives. They have their own vehicles too. So where is the parking for them? We live in a very cold place in Winnipeg with ice and snow for months at a time. No one's gonna ride their bicycles in the winter, obviously. This developer wants to increase the size where the planned development, and this is 100% wrong.
That it, sir?
And then there's hello?
Yeah, no, keep going.
Yeah, it's just there's too many factors. The parking is a big issue. The structures are huge in this area. 3 stories is the largest in this area. This is ridiculous what this developer is proposing to build in this area. If you go on the opposite side of the train tracks where buildings are in various heights, that's totally fine. But you're kind of like the developer wants to, develop something super massive here, which is going to make a big impact in the community around here, especially our neighborhood. What else can I say? There's lots of issues: congestion, privacy, parking, amongst other issues. We totally disagree with these variants that the developer wants to increase the size, and it's not proper, it's not right, and I totally reject it. And I think I speak for everyone that lives in front of this proposed development. And that's all.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Eady.
Thanks for your presentation, sir. So were you living there when the first proposal was for 10 stories?
Yes. And it seems like that this city just didn't really care about what we were saying.
Do you know why they adjusted it down to 6 stories?
I'm not too sure, but I just said it's very large. It's very large what the developers were proposing, especially in the front of our homes and everything like that. It doesn't suit the neighborhood. It doesn't. And you look in other sections of the city. I know there's rapid transit there, but you look at other sections of the city that they're only developing like 3-story buildings. I know there's a university over there, but you're kind of going to just how do you say? I don't want to say bad words, but you're kind of going to destroy the look of this neighborhood here. That's all I'm trying to say. I disagree with even if it's 6 stories. It should be reconsidered and rethought in regards to the development to make it at least a little bit of a more neighborly kind of community, not just some kind of like huge structures to go in front of our homes. I work construction and I built lots of places around the city, and I see some effects of like how big, large scale development goes in between homes, and it doesn't look good. And the people there don't like it either.
Okay. I'm not sure, but when the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor did come in, I think they did a lot of consultation in neighborhoods, and they talked about transit-oriented development, which is large density, right?
But that's still on the opposite side of the tracks, right? And
it's only not many meters away from a rapid transit station.
It's on the opposite side of the train tracks, so it's like a few meters away. But why would the developer want to build like a large structures in front of the homes when it doesn't exist like anything larger than three stories in the Waverly Heights area?
Oh, anyway, it's my understanding. It's my understanding along the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor, eventually in the Parker Lands, which is somewhat north of Waverly Heights, but It's my understanding they're gonna be having multifamily large units there. Anyway.
Anyways, I feel it's inappropriate for this area.
Okay.
The parking is a big problem. It's a huge problem if you're to reduce it. How is the developer going to enforce for the tenants to use transit when for surely lots of people, if they're moving, they're gonna settle in and they're gonna have vehicles. Where's the parking, especially for visitors? Like, I'm not too sure where the visitors are going to be visiting these tenants. Where are they going to be parking?
Right. So if I'm looking
there's lots of issues.
Okay, but if you're looking to rent an apartment and you own a car, you're gonna want to make sure you can get a parking spot for your car, yes, no?
Well, of course.
So if there's not enough, why would I rent an apartment there if I have a car and I can't get a parking spot?
Well, how do you say? How people will probably rent the place, but still purchase a car and park on the street.
Right.
There's still no justification in that.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm looking at the plans here, and I'm looking at proximity to the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor, and it's right there. It's like probably meters away. And so anybody that is renting a suite or renting an apartment is going to look at that and say, yeah, you know what? I don't need a car. Again, the parking ratio, would be a lot lower here on the basis that the proximity to amenities, including grocery shopping, which is nearby. I believe there's a Safeway nearby, Freshco not too far away, and other amenities that are so close by, including the University of Manitoba. So I'm not certain that, it's going to be overwhelmed with vehicles.
I beg to differ, because if you look at
the other part of it is that, we'll go back and ask the developer if they are putting in underground parking.
Because if you look at any apartments that are around the vicinity, they're all, the parking stalls are all full. Even large buildings like the Arc, that's far away from here. Those students, some of them take transit because maybe they can't, whatever it is. But lots of them have vehicles. I'm just saying that
Okay. Any other questions of committee members? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation today.
Yeah, I just disagree with everything. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next in support of the appeal, we have Andy Hart. Andy, I'm just going to ask you to unmute and turn on your camera, and you'll have up to 10 minutes to speak after you state your name.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to sound like a broken record here after listening to everybody else's conversation. I won't take too much of your time. My concern is also with the parking and traffic on Gull Lake Road. Gull Lake Road, as has been mentioned, is a single lane much of the year and has no sidewalks. I live on Gundy Lake, so it's my only access to and from home. My question is this. Does the city's 5-year study of parking in this area include the effects of new high-density buildings on street parking? I don't have a problem with the ratio that you've got, as long as we have assurances, some kind of assurances, that there isn't going to be a additional load put on Gundy Lake, on Gull Lake Road, because right now it's hard enough trying to get down that street in wintertime. If there's additional parking on there, it'll become intolerable. So is there on the study that was used to justify the low ratio? Was there any data, I guess, on the impact to street parking?
You're asking that question?
That's correct.
Your presentation is more of a presentation. We're the ones that ask the questions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was my only concern is that the unless there's some kind of I have to assume, I guess, that your study has already determined that the impact on the street parking is all right.
And that information I can get back from the community committee or from the standing policy committee if it's already gone through.
Okay. Can I get any of that data?
Yeah, we can certainly respond to you if you put in a request.
Lost the planner.
Or yeah, and we can ask the planner as well. So just continue to listen in from your YouTube feed.
That would be great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, next, unless there's any questions of committee members? Seeing none?
Question. No, I have no questions.
Okay, next, Elliot.
Okay, we have no one else here to speak in support of the appeal. Just for the record, I'll state there is no one in the gallery. So at this time, we can move on to those in opposition of the appeal. At this time, I will call forward Neil Manook. Neil, I'm going to ask you to unmute and turn on your video, and you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Hi, my name is Neil Manook, and I'm an architect at Din Architecture, and we've been working on this project for a couple of years now. So we're the architects for the project. So hopefully I'll be able to answer all the questions that you have. I can start by saying that infill projects are difficult projects. You know, they are, but they dramatically make our cities better, I think. And I think that's a really important thing to be cognizant of, that density is a good thing for everyone. I want to begin by thanking the civic administration and the councillor. We worked closely with both Devin Clark and now Rob Galston and Councillor Lukes to develop this proposal. It wasn't developed in isolation, and they've been very helpful in shaping and making sure that we're cognizant of planning and community issues. A little bit of background, which just to be very clear, the property's already rezoned. So the rezoning has already taken place. What we're here for today are some variances. What was approved is a 4-story building that is on the west side of the property that faces the residential development. And what was also approved is an 8-story building on the east side. We've changed that to be a 4-story building on the residential side and a 6-story building. So we've tried to adjust the project somewhat in response to community issues. Rather than go through the whole project, what I'm going to do is just respond to the 4 main points that were brought up by respectfully by Mr. Shirag, or Shirag, I guess that's your first name. In relation to the appeal itself. So the first one is about the privacy and neighborhood character. 2 of the variances are for setbacks. The first setback variance that's discussed is actually an internal one. So as you can see, the larger property is divided into 2 properties, and it's actually a property to property variance. So it really has no impact on the neighborhood whatsoever. It might have an impact on the adjacent property, but it doesn't, because they're essentially one. There's a cross-access agreement. The second setback variance is in relation to us changing the building from a 8-story building to a 6-story building. In order to keep the same number of units, we stretched the building a little bit, thinking that the 6-story building was more sensitive to the neighbor. And it's called a front yard variance, but it's really the corner of the building that's touching on a little O-shaped or circle-shaped front yard. So it's actually not the whole face of the building that's really close to the setback. It's just a corner of the building. So we think, though, that by changing it to 6 stories, that we've listened to the neighbors and been sensitive to the neighborhood character and tried to reduce the scale of the project. So the first set of concerns were privacy and neighborhood character, and those are my responses. The next real concern that was brought up is about parking and traffic, and I want to say that we commissioned Moore Consulting, which is one of the sort of main traffic consultants in town, traffic engineers, to prepare both a traffic study and also a parking study. And the parking study, I think, is 36 pages, and the traffic study is 136 pages. So it's well over 100 pages. And the parking study corroborates that there is adequate parking in our proposal. The parking study recommends 221 parking stalls for this 260 unit development, and we have 228, and we've added an additional car share over what was asked for, and the car shares equal 39. So we've got 267 sort of virtual spots, including the 225 physical spots. Anyways, we exceed what the consultant has recommended as a recommended number of parking stalls. In relation to the traffic itself, we developed our site plan based on the traffic study. We didn't just respond to the traffic study afterwards. We commissioned the traffic study, and then we developed our site plan so that we actually developed it so that it doesn't have adverse effects on the neighborhood itself. The third thing that the appellant has identified is environmental and waste management, and we can assure you that we are going to meet every bylaw and condition. We don't want garbage and messy situations or vermin or anything. The reason for the variance is actually, again, an internal setback from one property to another. The garbage is too close to the property line, but they're all the same property, so it doesn't have any impact on the larger community for sure. And then finally, there's a comment about the disruption to community dynamics. Well, we are varying one of the front yard setbacks, like I mentioned, that north corner, and it's actually the north end of the building. It's not the south end of the building, so it doesn't have a shadow impact on any of the neighbors. We didn't reduce the front yard setbacks, so the bulk of the building is what it's supposed to be in terms of compliancy with the setbacks. So I think that's really our responses to the appellant's questions or concerns. I'll close by saying that cities are living entities, and as such, they're evolving, and we understand that change is difficult. We think we strived to make this project sensitive to community qualities and to be reasonable about things. I just want to say I'll be happy to respond to any questions you might have. One additional thing before I close, there was a question about the number of people that might live in a particular apartment, and that is totally dealt with by leases. My developer owner is not interested. I've done another project. I've done other projects for the same developer. They're not interested in having multiple people in their units. They're interested in having good tenants and keeping their tenants, and they can control that through the leases, and they will. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Councillor Eady. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for that last answer. As you know, we, the city, don't actually deal with that kind of thing, but I did have a question. So it was pointed out on Gull Lake Road. Have you been asked to put in a public sidewalk that runs?
Yeah, we are gonna put in a public sidewalk and we were suggested that we should treat that face as sort of as domestically as possible. So all the ground floor units have sidewalks out to that public sidewalk and have sort of front yard landscaping so that they become almost like houses on the street. And also as part of the rezoning, some of the recommendations are about the variegation and the repetition and the sort of dividing up of the facade to make the scale fit with houses across the street. So we've worked hard to do that. Good question.
Were you asked to do anything with the road itself, or was that fine?
No, the road's not our domain, but certainly we weren't asked to put a sidewalk in, but we put a sidewalk in. We thought
city sidewalk though, right?
Yeah.
Just to confirm though, can I just confirm one thing though?
Yeah.
Will there be like a grass boulevard from the curb to the sidewalk?
Yes.
For slow storage?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, some of my questions were the same. Thank you, Councillor Eady, for posing those. Neil, thank you for your thorough presentation. You touched on a lot of important things that were mentioned earlier, so I hope the delegations are listening in. You also touched on the fact that you started, with the public service and the area councillor to work through a lot of issues. And I think what we see here today in the proposal isn't always where we start. There's iterations of these proposals and then finally what you think is best suited for the area. So thank you for all the details and we'll continue to ask questions of the public service once you're done and then come to a conclusion here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Based on the submission here and the appeal that was filed, it talks about, and you alluded to it earlier, the fact that there was, one of the buildings was going to be 8 stories and the other was going to be 4 stories. You now reduce the 8 stories to 6 stories. Does that still include, so is that still 260 units or did the 8 story include more units?
No, the 8-story had the same number of units as the 6-story. There's a few more units on the 4-story. The 6-story building is directly next to the rapid transit station. And I also forgot to mention, somebody asked about parking. Both buildings have underground parking.
Okay, how many stalls?
I don't know exactly how many stalls are in each building. As many as was reasonably possible, but both buildings have ramps and underground parking.
In the submission, you got 92 spaces instead of 177. You've also got 260 units, but it hasn't decreased even though you're taking off 2 stories of the building. So are you going to have more 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments as opposed to 3-bedroom apartments? Or
there's some more 2-bedroom and there are some 3-bedrooms. It's more of a diverse mix of units rather than just small 1-bedroom units. My owner developers.
How do you maintain the same amount of units by taking off 2 floors?
You lengthen the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Increase the footprint.
So you're increasing the footprint. Does that allow you to have more underground parking stalls?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So if you can, but you don't know specifically.
The number of stalls is on the drawings. I can go get the drawings. They're not directly in front of me.
Okay, perhaps our public service can answer that. Okay, thank you.
But both buildings have underground parking, and I also neglected to mention that we have an awful lot of indoor bike parking, and I also didn't talk about parking ratios. At the last variance meeting we were at, a number of projects which were not near rapid transit and not even near transit were being passed with like 0.7 ratios, like much lower ratios than this. And many projects around this area, like including UC 30 on University Crescent, the parking lot's half empty. The developer at my last variance meeting I was at was saying, you know, that the parking ratios are kind of out of whack. I'm not suggesting that we have almost a 1-to-1 ratio with the car share situation.
Okay, and in
We have more than 1-to-1.
all of this, have you done any traffic studies?
Yeah, we did. We have a 136-page traffic report, which the public administration has by Moore Consulting.
Okay, and the fact that the rapid corridors there, does that play into the traffic study at all?
Yes.
Okay. I think that is it in terms of, you talked about car share. So which one were you going to use, Peg City Co-op or?
We're going to use our own car share.
So you're gonna purchase vehicles?
Three vehicles. My owner developers developed the apartment building next to Chabon on Osborne Street South. And they made a venture to make their own car share sort of situation, and it's worked out beautifully. So that's what we're proposing to do here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions, committee members? Thank you very much for your presentation this afternoon, Mr.
Very welcome.
Okay, so we have no one else registered to speak in opposition to the appeal and no one registered for information on the appeal. So at this time, we could go for questions for the administration, and then we do have one person who will speak in rebuttal.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Eady.
Just on the administration, so I forgot to ask the applicant or architect. So that Southwest Corridor does have the AT path. Is this property connected to the AT path?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk on Markham Road, right in front of the property, and that sidewalk does connect across the tracks and across the. Well, then there's the AT path right there, and then the transit stop.
Right. Okay. All right. So indoor bike he mentioned indoor bike parking. Is there also some outdoor on that? I forgot to ask him.
Yeah, I don't have the number just right in front of me, but they do. I know they do have outdoor. Like if you're just dropping by to visit a friend, you can park in a rack by the front doors of the buildings.
That kind of stuff. Okay.
The majority of the bike parking is indoors, but there is that outdoor option as well.
Okay.
There was a question posed earlier about occupancy in apartments. Is there any comment on that or?
Yeah, beyond what can be controlled through leasing or CFS or some other mechanism, that's not part of our review, our department's review. So we just look at the number of units and the number of bedrooms those units are, or if they're shared facilities like kitchen, and then they might be considered an SRO. But in this case, they're all self-contained suites, and so we.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. How many parking stalls are underground?
On the proposed lot 1, they've got 92 stalls total. 64 of those are underground, so that's about 70% of the parking on lot 1. Lot 2, they've got 133 stalls total, and 58 of those are underground. So that's about 44% of the total is underground. So underneath each building.
So will there be any chance for surface parking or no?
Yeah, the remaining
parking is on
the remaining would be surface.
The remaining 56% would be surface parking lots for building 2. And you said 60% for building 1?
Yeah, it'd be the remaining 30% on building 1. Not a lot of surface parking on lot 1.
Yeah.
More on.
And you said the access is through a shared agreement between the 6-story and the 4-story?
Yeah, both of these lots will have a cross-access agreement, so shared access. So
they both are parking lots on the surface, right?
Yeah, it will. kind of function as one large site. So to park in a surface lot on lot one, you'll need to drive onto lot two, but you know, it's all shared through agreement and through the design.
And you won't see the parking from the street. Is it going to be more on the interior or?
There's an interior parking area between the two buildings, which is, I mean, you'll be able to see parking like the side of a vehicle and a row from Gull Lake, and then there's additional surface parking backing up against the train tracks. That's because the building couldn't be any closer to the tracks because of MCM, but. You know.
Any other questions? Members?
No.
Okay,
No. Rebuttal.
Okay, so at this time, we will return to our appellant, Chirag Patel. You are able to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. I'm just asking you to unmute and turn on your camera, and you'll have up to 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Hi, so I see still my concern is height and the parking, and I see like for example, I bought a house here because it is close to rapid transit, right? But my wife, like for example, I work from home, and my wife works as a substitute teacher, and she also works for healthcare at Riverview, and she works part time, and if she takes transit and connecting bus 95, there is no connectivity during weekend time, so we had to buy another car just to travel. And I have young kids, and young kids have different activities, right? We get enroll them into different activity. We can't go with them in the school for like hours and hours in transit. So it is car is still requirement. Even someone can say anything or argue anything. So is there any data available due to rapid transit the number of car reduce, particularly in this neighborhood, or any data suggest that due to this transit availability the number of car reduce per head or something?
Are you asking a question or?
Yeah, we don't answer.
Yeah, okay. So just to be clear, we are the ones that ask the questions. So if you have a comment or can respond to a question that we asked, that's how this process works.
Pardon me, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So the committee is the one that asked the questions. So you're just to provide comment, and if we have questions with respect to what you've presented, we will ask those questions. That's how the process works.
It's your opportunity, sir, to make comments.
Oh, okay, yeah. Still, this plan is huge for our community. It's not consistent with the existing buildings and houses, and it could be a cash cow for the developers, but it will create a ripple effect, negative ripple effect in neighborhood.
Question. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Sharma.
Yeah, sir, did you appear at the community committee and present there as well?
That's it. Yeah.
You did? You did present at the community committee as well? Did you also present before today to the?
Yeah, I did.
You did. And were any changes made to the project as a result of your feedback? Were any changes made?
Yeah, I there is no proposal in the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay,
So in proposal of the plan,
Sorry?
what did you ask me, please?
No, I was asking my colleagues here if there were any other
Sorry
additional
for that.
questions of you. Seeing none?
Okay, so at this time, if there's no further questions, we can move on to motions.
Yeah, I'll be doing so, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna, and I just want to say, thanks for the people who are appearing. Multifamily introduction is always a controversial issue, and I think that this property, well, I'll mention in my comments. I move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I move that in accordance with subsection 247(3) of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable, any
You got it.
applicable secondary plan does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent areas, including separated from the property of street or waterway, is the minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. And my supporting reasons, Mr. Chairperson, again, so I'm looking at this, it's not that far from the Southwest Rapid Transit Corridor. There is a station not far away. It's an advantageous place for someone to live who wants to use transit, ride their bike, and even if they do need a car, sounds like there will be lots of car share opportunity to get involved in, thus relieving the renter of any of those apartments of the high cost of maintaining their own car. And yes, it is a change, but they've adjusted this this development in order to try to facilitate a look and feel, at least at the street level, as part of the community across Skull Lake. And they are providing a public sidewalk, which is important, which will also ensure that there is some snow storage space, which is important when Gull Lake is plowed. And those are my supporting reasons.
Mr. Chair, I concur with everything that's been put on the record there, particularly the location, the close proximity of the rapid transit corridor, and the other comments that were made. Final plan approval will be going to community committee. That's a good thing also. And there's a high amount of indoor bike parking. We also heard that fact. This is the type of project we should be supporting.
Okay. I will put some comments on the public record as well. It's not only the proximity to the South Winnipeg rapid line, but there are a lot of amenities nearby as well, including the University of Manitoba, which is the second most frequently destination by transit. As mentioned, there are grocery stores, there's a lot of shopping in the area, there's parks, there are restaurants in the area. So again, to the point that Councillor Sharma has made, these are the type of projects that we should be approving. So I'll add that to the public record and call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
Right. I move that the appeal.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I move that the appeal be denied. And the decision of the Assiniboine Community Committee be concurred in.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
I move that variance order DAV 260,688/2024, is that a D?
That's right.
Yeah.
Be
Confirmed.
concurred, yeah. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Confirmed, yes, right.
All those in favor?
Aye. I
Those
move
carried.
that the public hearing with respect to this appeal be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Does
carried.
the clerk need to say something?
Nope.
Okay. Thank